The garage smelled like motor oil and disappointment. I sat on an overturned paint bucket, balancing a paper plate of cold turkey and congealed gravy on my knee, listening to laughter drift from the dining room. Through the thin wall, I could hear my stepmother Diane regaling her guests with stories about her recent cruise to Italy. "Pass the stuffing, Brandon," her voice carried clearly. "Your father would be so proud to see you at the head of the table." My father, who'd been dead exactly 3 months, whose chair my stepbrother now occupied like he'd won it in battle. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus Chin. "My lawyer, Sophia. Call me ASAP. Documents ready." I set down the plate of leftovers, if you could call the dried edges and cold centers leftovers when everyone else was still eating the main meal, and stepped outside to call him. "Happy Thanksgiving," Marcus said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. "I have news that'll make yours much happier. Please tell me." The deed cleared. "The house is officially yours, as is everything else your father left you." Diane's contest was thrown out. The judge called it frivolous and without merit. I leaned against the garage door, my legs suddenly shaky. "It's done? It's really done? Signed, sealed, and delivered. The house at 47 Maple Grove is legally yours, along with his investment portfolio, the cabin in Tahoe, and the rental properties. Congratulations. You're now the sole owner of everything." "What about Diane's claim that the will was forged?" "Dismissed. Your father's lawyer had video of the will signing, remember? Pretty hard to claim forgery when there's HD footage of him stating his intentions clearly." Through the garage window, I watched Diane pour wine from what I recognized as my mother's crystal decanter, one of the few things that had survived Diane's purge of mom's belongings after she moved in. "Marcus," I said quietly, "how fast can you get eviction papers drawn up?" "Already done. 30-day notice to vacate." "Very generous, considering she has no legal right to be there." "Want me to send them over?" "Bring them, but not yet. Let them finish dinner first." "You sure? That's very patient of you." I looked at my cold plate abandoned on the paint bucket. "I've been patient for 7 years. I can manage another hour." After we hung up, I didn't go back to the garage. Instead, I walked around to the side of the house, my house, and peered through the dining room window. The table was set with my grandmother's china. The one Diane had claimed was too old-fashioned when I'd asked to use it for my college graduation dinner. 14 people sat around the table, none of them related to me by blood. There was Brandon, my stepbrother, carving turkey like he was born to it, his wife Cheryl beside him, wearing the pearl necklace I'd seen in my mother's jewelry box just last week, Diane's sister Patricia, her husband, their 3 kids, Diane's parents, even her hairdresser and personal trainer had made the cut. But not me, not my father's only biological child. "Ungrateful kids eat in the garage," Diane had announced when I'd arrived an hour ago, holding the store-bought pie I'd managed to afford. "You chose to be difficult about the will, so you can eat like the backstabbing little witch you are." I'd tried to explain that contesting her contest wasn't being difficult, it was protecting what my father had explicitly left me, but she'd slammed the door in my face, leaving me with a plate of scraps and instructions to be grateful I'm feeding you at all. Now I watched them toast with my father's wine collection, the one he'd been saving for special occasions. Apparently, his death was special enough. My phone rang. Amy, my best friend since middle school. "How's the garage?" she asked without preamble. "Still cold and depressing?" "Actually, I'm outside, enjoying the show through the window." "That's creepy, sophomore. So is making your stepdaughter eat in the garage on Thanksgiving. Besides, I just got the best news. The will, everything, the house, the investments, all of it." Diane's contest failed. Amy hooped so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. "Finally, when are you kicking her out?" "Soon. Marcus is bringing the papers." "Want backup?" "I can be there in 20 with my brothers. You know they've been dying to see Diane get what's coming to her." "No, I want to do this myself, but maybe come by later? We can order Chinese and eat it in the dining room, at the big table, with the good china?" "With all the good china." I hung up and walked back to the garage, but not to eat. Instead, I started examining the boxes stacked along the walls. Diane had been steadily moving things out here over the years. Decluttering, she called it. I called it erasing my mother. Box after box of family photos, my parents' wedding album, my baby pictures, mom's art collection, dad's first edition books, all the things that made this house a home before Diane arrived with her modern aesthetic and determination to renovate away every trace of our life before her. In one box, I found the Thanksgiving decorations Mom and I used to put up every year, hand-painted turkey place cards with our names in her careful script, the ceramic pilgrim figurines I'd made in 3rd grade, the thankful tree where we'd hang paper leaves with our gratitudes written on them. I pulled out one faded leaf. My father's handwriting still clear, thankful for my daughter Sophia, who makes every day brighter. The tears came then. 7 years of them. 7 years of Diane slowly pushing me out. 7 years of Brandon taking my place at the table. 7 years of being told I was ungrateful, difficult, dramatic for wanting to remain part of my own family. But Dad had seen it. He'd known what would happen when he was gone. Make sure Sophia gets the house. He'd told his lawyer on that video. Everything goes to Sophia. Diane has her own money. She doesn't need mine. But Sophia needs to know she'll always have a home. A car pulled into the driveway. Marcus stepped out, briefcase in hand, looking like corporate efficiency even on Thanksgiving. Ready? He asked when I met him at the front door. 7 years ready. How do you want to play this? I thought about it. Part of me wanted to storm in, throw the papers on the table, and watch Diane's face crumble in front of her guests, but that felt too much like something she would do. Let's be civilized, I decided. Ring the doorbell. We'll do this properly. Marcus rang. Once, twice, 3 times before Brandon finally answered, wine glass in hand. Sophia? What are you? Who's this? Brandon, this is Mr. Chen, my attorney. We need to speak with Diane. She's eating dinner. You can't just. Actually, I can. I stepped past him into my house, my entrance hall, my floors that Mom had picked out. Diane, we need to talk. The dining room went silent as Marcus and I entered. 14 faces turned our way, forks suspended midair. What is the meaning of this? Diane stood, her face already flushing red. You were told to stay in the garage. I was, but then I remembered, I don't actually have to follow your rules anymore. I nodded to Marcus, who opened his briefcase. Mrs. Patterson, he began formally, I'm here to inform you that the Superior Court has upheld Mr. David Lynn's last will and testament. All assets, including this property, have been legally transferred to Ms. Sophia Lynn. That's impossible, Diane sputtered. My lawyer said, your lawyer was wrong. The will was valid, properly executed, and witnessed. Your claim of undue influence was dismissed, as was your claim of mental incompetence, as was your claim of forgery. But I'm his wife. I corrected quietly. You were his wife, and California is a community property state. But this house was purchased before your marriage with inheritance from his parents. It was never community property. Marcus pulled out a manila envelope. This is your 30-day notice to vacate. You have until December 25th to remove yourself and your belongings from the premises. Christmas? Patricia gasped. You're evicting her at Christmas? She made me eat Thanksgiving in the garage. I replied evenly. Christmas seems generous. Diane sank into her chair, my mother's chair. Actually, this is ridiculous. David would never what? I pulled out my phone, scrolled to the video Marcus had shared with me. Would never leave everything to his daughter? Would never want to make sure I was taken care of? Let's see what Dad actually said. I hit play. My father's face filled the screen, thin from the cancer but his eyes still sharp. I, David Lynn, being of sound mind and body, do hereby leave all my earthly possessions to my daughter, Sophia Lynn. The house on Maple Grove, where she grew up, where her mother and I raised her, belongs to her. I know Diane will contest this. I know she'll try to take it from her. But I need Sophia to know, that house is hers. It will always be hers. No one can take her home away from her. His voice cracked on the last line. Several of Diane's guests looked uncomfortable. The video continued. To my wife Diane, I leave my blessing to use her own considerable assets as she sees fit. She came into this marriage with wealth. She'll leave it with the same, but what I built, what I inherited, what matters to me, that goes to my daughter, my only child, my everything. I stopped the video. The dining room was silent except for the grandfather clock ticking in the hallway. You can't do this, Brandon said finally. Mom's lived here for 7 years. This is our home. No, I said firmly, this is my home. You have a condo in San Francisco. Diane has the house in Marin she kept from her first divorce. You have places to go. This is the only home I've ever known. You're being vindictive, Diane hissed. Just like your mother, petty and vindictive. My mother was a saint who welcomed you into her home when Dad got sick. She died thinking you'd take care of us both. Instead, you cremated her against her wishes, scattered her ashes without telling me where, and redecorated her house before the funeral flowers had wilted. Gasps from the guests. Apparently, Diane had told a different version of that story. Get out. Diane stood, shaking. Get out of my house. Your house? I laughed. Actually laughed. Diane, this stopped being your house the moment Dad's heart stopped beating. You just didn't know it yet. Marcus stepped forward. Mrs. Patterson, I suggest you review these documents carefully. The eviction is legal and will be enforced. Any damage to the property or removal of items not explicitly yours will result in criminal charges. Criminal, how dare you? How dare I? I looked around the table, at all these people eating in my home while I'd been banished to the garage. How dare I claim what's legally mine? How dare I honor my father's wishes? How dare I want to eat Thanksgiving dinner in my own dining room? I picked up the plate at my father's place, Brandon's place now, and scraped the remains into the trash can Diane kept discreetly in the corner. You know what? Keep eating, enjoy the meal, drink the wine, use the good china, because it's the last Thanksgiving you'll ever have in this house. Sophia, please, Cheryl spoke up, fingering Mom's pearls nervously. Can't we discuss this like family? Family? I turned to her. Was I family when you went through my mother's jewelry box? Was I family when Brandon sold Dad's car without asking me? Was I family when Diane changed the locks while I was at college? Was I family an hour ago when I was eating cold turkey on a paint bucket? No one answered. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to finish your dinner, then you're going to leave. All of you. Diane, you can come back tomorrow to start packing. Brandon, that office you've taken over? I need it cleared by Monday. Cheryl, the pearls stay. They were my mother's. You can't just. Cheryl's hand went to her throat. I can. I have the receipts. Dad kept excellent records. Marcus pulled out another document. We've also compiled a list of items that belong to the estate. Any removal of these items will be considered theft. The list was comprehensive. 3 pages of furniture, art, jewelry, electronics, all the things Diane had been slowly claiming as her own. This is insane, Patricia said. Diane, call your lawyer. I did, Diane whispered. He dropped me yesterday, said the case was unwinnable. Smart man, Marcus observed. I walked to the window, looking out at the backyard where Mom had planted roses, where Dad had pushed me on the swing set, where we'd had barbecues before everything changed. I'm going upstairs to my room, I announced. You have 1 hour to finish and leave. Marcus will wait outside to ensure everyone exits. Tomorrow, the locks will be changed. Where am I supposed to go? Diane's voice had gone shrill. The garage is free, I suggested. I hear ungrateful wives sleep there. Or maybe Patricia will take you in. After all, family helps family, right? I left them sitting there, their feast turned to ash in their mouths, and climbed the stairs to my childhood bedroom. Diane had turned it into a guest room, but I could still see the faint outline where my poster had hung, still feel the memories soaked into the walls. I sat on the bed and called Amy. Bring the Chinese. And champagne. Good champagne. They gone? Almost. Diane just found out she's homeless for Christmas. Karma's a bitch. No, I corrected, looking around my room, my house, my inheritance. Karma's a 25-year-old woman who just inherited everything her stepmother thought was hers. Through the window, I watched Diane's guests scurry to their cars, doggy bags forgotten, holiday cheer extinguished. Diane herself stood in the driveway, cell phone pressed to her ear, probably calling every lawyer in the Bay Area. Brandon loaded boxes into his Tesla, boxes that I was pretty sure contained things from the do not remove list. I texted Marcus, Brandon's trunk, check it. A moment later, I watched Marcus approach Brandon, who reluctantly opened the trunk. Even from my window, I could see him pulling out silver candlesticks, photo albums, and what looked like Dad's watch collection. The great Thanksgiving feast was over, the pretend family scattered to the wind, and for the first time in 7 years, I was home, really, truly home. My phone buzzed, a text from a number I didn't recognize. Sophia, this is Patricia. What Diane did was wrong. We didn't know about the garage. I'm sorry. I didn't respond. Sorry was just a word. It didn't give me back 7 years of being treated like an intruder in my own home. By the time Amy arrived with bags of Chinese food and bottles of champagne, the house was empty except for the lingering smell of turkey and betrayal. To your dad, Amy said, raising a glass in the dining room where, just hours ago, I hadn't been welcome. He knew exactly what he was doing. To Dad, I agreed, then added, and to eating Thanksgiving dinner wherever the hell I want. We clinked glasses, the crystal singing a clear, bright note that seemed to chase away the shadows. Outside, the November night was cold and dark, but inside my house, everything was finally warm and light and right. Diane could eat in the garage for all I cared. Or better yet, she could find her own table. This one was mine.
The moment I held my newborn daughter, something felt terribly wrong. The connection I dreamed about, that instant maternal bond everyone talks about, it wasn't there. Instead, a cold, creeping sensation of disconnect washed over me as I stared into those tiny eyes. My name is Linda, and this is the story of how my sister's jealousy nearly destroyed our family. She's perfect, Leonard whispered, squeezing my shoulder as we gazed at our daughter in the hospital nursery. I forced a smile, trying to shake off the nagging feeling that something wasn't right. Yeah, perfect, I echoed hollowly, studying her features for the 100th time. Neither Leonard's warm brown eyes nor my distinctive green ones were reflected in her face. I told myself I was being ridiculous. Newborns change so much in their first few weeks. But that feeling wouldn't go away. You're just tired, Samantha assured me over coffee 3 days after we brought the baby home. Every new mom goes through this adjustment period. I clutched my mug tighter. It's more than that, Sam. I can't explain it, but something feels off. Different from what I expected. Different how? Like, I struggled to find the words. Like she's not mine. Samantha's eyes widened. Linda, you carried her for 9 months. Of course she's yours. But the doubt had taken root, growing stronger each day. I caught my sister Ariel watching me with an odd expression when she visited, something almost like satisfaction in her eyes when I struggled to comfort the crying baby. You're a natural, she said, her voice dripping with sweetness. Just like you are at everything else. There was an edge to her words that made me uncomfortable. Our relationship had always been complicated, marked by competition and resentment, but something about her behavior lately felt different, calculated. The breaking point came 2 weeks after the birth. I was sorting through a stack of mail when I found it, a plain white envelope with no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper with typed text. How does it feel to not recognize your own child? Maybe because she isn't yours at all. My hands shook as I read the words over and over. The paper slipped from my fingers as memories flooded back. Ariel's strange behavior at the hospital, her insistence on being there for the birth despite our strained relationship, her disappearing for nearly an hour right after the delivery. Leonard, I called out, my voice cracking. He rushed in from the nursery, concern etched on his face. What's wrong? I thrust the note at him. Read this, and then I need you to help me get a DNA test. His face paled as he read. You don't think, I don't know what to think anymore, but I need to know the truth. That afternoon, we contacted a private laboratory. The wait for results was excruciating. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time I looked at the baby, questions tormented me. Had Ariel somehow switched her with another infant? Was I losing my mind? The results are ready, the lab technician said 3 days later. Her voice was gentle, sympathetic. Would you like to come in to discuss them? My heart stopped. Just tell me, please. A pause. The DNA analysis shows no biological relationship between you and the infant. The phone slipped from my numb fingers. Leonard caught it, his face ashen as he listened to the technician's voice. I stumbled to the nursery, staring at the sleeping baby, not my baby, as tears blurred my vision. Another envelope arrived that evening. This one contained a hospital security photo showing Ariel in scrubs, carrying a bundle through a service corridor. The timestamp matched my delivery time exactly. I'm going to kill her, I whispered, rage building in my chest. She stole my baby. My actual baby is out there somewhere, and she... Leonard wrapped his arms around me. We'll find her. We'll make this right. I pulled away, wiping my eyes. Fury replaced despair as I stared at the photo. Oh, we'll do more than that. My dear sister wants to play games? Fine, but she has no idea what she's started. I reached for my phone, hands steady now. It was time to make some calls, gather some allies. Ariel thought she knew everything about me, but she'd forgotten one crucial detail. I always win in the end. And this time, I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was fighting for my real daughter, Wherever she was, the game was on. "Tell me everything you remember about Ariel's behavior at the hospital," Samantha said, pacing my living room. "Every detail matters now." I closed my eyes, forcing myself to revisit that day. She insisted on being there, even though we barely speak, said it was too important to miss. My laugh was bitter. Now I know why. Leonard sat beside me, his engineer's mind already mapping out possibilities. She must have had help. Hospital security is tight these days. "The head of maternity, Vince?" I suggested. Ariel seemed to know him. They were chatting like old friends when I was admitted. Samantha stopped pacing. "Wait, Vince Lane? Isn't he the one who was in the news last year for some financial scandal that got buried?" "That's him." I pulled out my phone, starting to search his name. "But why?" Leonard asked. "Why would Ariel do this? It's beyond cruel. It's criminal." I set my phone down, memories flooding back. Remember last Christmas at Mom's house? Ariel had too much wine and started bringing up old stuff. How I always got the praise, the attention, the opportunities. "That's ridiculous," Samantha interjected. "Your parents treated you both equally." "Not in Ariel's mind." I stood up, walking to the window. "She told me something that night, after everyone else went to bed. She said, 'One day I'll take away the thing you love most. Then you'll know how it feels.'" "And you didn't think to mention this before?" Leonard's voice rose slightly. "I thought she was just drunk and bitter. I never imagined." My voice cracked. "I never thought she'd steal our baby." The doorbell rang, making us all jump. I opened it to find my mother, Clara, looking worried. "I came as soon as I could," she said, hugging me. "Your message about needing to talk about Ariel scared me. What's happening?" I led her to the living room, where Samantha and Leonard waited. As I explained everything, the DNA test, the photos, my suspicions, Mom's face grew paler. "There's something you need to know," she said quietly, when I finished. "Something that happened when Ariel was 16. We all leaned forward as she continued. "She had a breakdown after your father praised your college acceptance. She was convinced we loved you more, that everything good in life went to you. We found," Mom's voice wavered, "we found a journal. She'd written detailed plans about hurting you, taking away your happiness. We got her help, and she seemed better, but she never really got over it," I finished. "She just got better at hiding it." "I should have told you," Mom whispered. "I thought I was protecting both of you, but—" "We need to be strategic about this," Samantha interrupted. "If we confront Ariel directly, she might panic. We don't know where your real baby is." Leonard nodded. "We need proof first, concrete evidence that links her to the switch." "I know someone," Samantha said. "A geneticist named Julian. He can fast-track another DNA test, more comprehensive this time, and he has contacts at the hospital board." I grabbed my keys. "Let's go see him now. Mom, can you stay with the baby? I can't. I can't look at her right now, knowing." "Of course, dear." Mom's eyes were full of tears. "We'll make this right." As we drove to Julian's lab, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Enjoying motherhood, sis. Some things aren't as perfect as they seem, are they?" "It's her." I showed Leonard the message. "She's taunting me." "Save everything," he said grimly. "We'll need it later." At the lab, Julian listened intently to our story. "I can help," he said finally. "But you should know, if what you're saying is true, this goes beyond just your sister. Hospital baby switches don't happen by accident anymore. There are protocols, safeguards. Meaning? Meaning someone high up had to be involved. Someone with access to override security systems, change records." He looked at me seriously. "Are you sure you want to pull this thread? You might not like what you find." I thought of my real daughter, somewhere out there, being raised by strangers, of Ariel's smug satisfaction, of all the years of rivalry and resentment that led to this moment. "I'm sure," I said firmly. "Whatever it takes, whoever's involved, I want them all exposed, and I want my baby back." Julian nodded, reaching for his computer. "Then let's get started. But be careful. People who are capable of stealing babies are capable of much worse." I squeezed Leonard's hand, drawing strength from his presence. "They haven't seen what I'm capable of yet." I arranged the family meeting carefully, making sure Ariel wouldn't know about it. The living room felt crowded with everyone except her gathered there. Mom, Dad, our older cousins Sarah and Mike, even our Aunt Patricia. "Thank you all for coming," I started, my voice steadier than I felt. "What I'm about to tell you will be hard to hear." Leonard stood beside me, silent support as I laid out the evidence. The DNA test results, the security photos, the threatening messages. The room grew quieter with each revelation. "That's impossible," Aunt Patricia burst out. "Ariel would never." "There's more," Mom interrupted, her hands shaking as she pulled out an old notebook. "I should have shown this years ago. Maybe if I had." She opened it to a marked page and began reading. April 15, 2004. "Linda got into Harvard today. Everyone's so proud of perfect Linda. One day I'll make her feel what it's like to lose everything, to have something precious taken away." Sarah gasped. "She wrote that when she was 16? "There are dozens of entries like this," Mom continued, her voice breaking. "We got her therapy, but clearly it wasn't enough." "Wait," Mike leaned forward. "Last month at the hospital, I saw Ariel talking to some administrator. They seemed friendly, too friendly." "Vince Lane," I confirmed. "We're investigating him too." "This is crazy," Dad exploded, standing up. "My daughter wouldn't steal a baby. There has to be another explanation." "Dad," I said softly, pulling out my phone, "listen to this." I played the voicemail from 2 days ago. "Hey sis," Ariel's voice slightly slurred. "Remember when we were kids and you always got everything you wanted? Well, how does it feel now to have something precious just slip away?" The room fell silent. "Oh God." Dad collapsed back into his chair. "What do we do?" "We need to be careful," Leonard warned. "If we confront her directly, she might run," I finished. "With information about where my real baby is." "I have an idea," Sarah spoke up. "The annual family reunion is next weekend. Ariel won't expect anything there, with so many people around." "Perfect," I nodded. "We can—" A knock at the door made everyone freeze. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of familiar red hair. "It's her," I whispered. "Nobody say anything." I opened the door to find Ariel standing there, looking perfectly composed. "Family meeting without me?" she asked, her smile not reaching her eyes. "Just discussing the reunion," I lied smoothly. "Come in." She walked into the living room, taking in everyone's tense faces. "Why so serious? Did somebody die?" "Actually," I said, watching her carefully, "we were just talking about when we were kids. Remember that time you took my favorite doll and buried it in the backyard?" Ariel's smile flickered. "Ancient history." "Is it?" Mom's voice was quiet. "Because it seems like some patterns never change." "What's that supposed to mean?" Ariel's hand tightened on her purse. "Nothing," I said quickly. "Just reminiscing." "Hey, you never told me. How long have you known Vince Lane?" A flash of panic crossed her face before she controlled it. "Who?" "The hospital administrator. Mike saw you talking to him." "Oh, him. Just professional acquaintance." She checked her phone. "I should go. I have a meeting." "On Sunday?" Leonard asked mildly. Ariel was already heading for the door. "Some of us have to work weekends. Unlike perfect Linda with her perfect life." After she left, Everyone exhaled. Did you see her face when you mentioned Vince? Sarah asked. She's definitely hiding something, Mike agreed. I turned to Julian, who had been quietly observing from the corner. What do you think? Her body language changed completely at the mention of Vince, he noted. Classic guilt response. And that comment about your perfect life. There's a lot of buried rage there. We need to move fast, I decided. The reunion's in 6 days. That's our chance to expose everything. I'll help, Sarah offered. I can get access to the hospital records through my IT job. Be careful, Julian warned. If Vince is involved, he'll be watching for any suspicious activity. I looked around at my family, seeing determination replace shock on their faces. Even Dad, who'd been in denial, now looked resolved. 1 week, I said. In 1 week, we end this, and I get my baby back. As everyone left, Mom lingered behind. Linda, she said softly, I'm so sorry. I should have seen this coming. I hugged her tightly. We all should have. But now we make it right. The game was changing. Ariel thought she had all the power, but she'd forgotten something important. Family loyalty cuts both ways, and she'd just lost hers completely. Julian's lab was eerily quiet as we waited for the second DNA test results. Sarah had managed to hack into the hospital system, and the information displayed on his computer screen made my blood run cold. Look at this. Julian pointed to a series of entries. Multiple records were altered the day of your delivery. Not just yours. 3 other births that day had documentation changes. 3 others? Leonard leaned closer. Are you saying? This wasn't a one-time thing, Julian confirmed. They've been switching babies systematically. My hands clenched into fists. But why? What's the motive? Sarah clicked through more files. Money transfers, large ones, all to offshore accounts, all linked to Vince's department. He's selling babies, I whispered, horror dawning, and Ariel helped him with mine. The printer whirred to life, spitting out the new DNA results. Julian grabbed them, scanning quickly. It's confirmed, he said. The baby you have matches another mother from that day, Amanda Torres, which means my baby is with her. I grabbed my phone, but Leonard caught my wrist. Wait, we need to be smart about this. If we contact her directly, Vince might find out. A knock at the lab door made us all jump. Julian checked the security camera and cursed. It's Vince. Quick, into my office. We hurried into the adjacent room as Julian went to answer the door. Through the thin wall, we could hear their conversation. Burning the midnight oil? Vince's voice was smooth, professional. Just catching up on some work, Julian replied casually. Interesting, because I noticed some unusual access to hospital records today. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you? My heart pounded as Julian laughed. Me? I'm just a geneticist. Hospital administration is way above my pay grade. Right. Vince's tone turned cold. Just remember, curiosity can be dangerous, especially when it involves certain sensitive matters. After Vince left, we emerged from the office. Julian's face was pale. He knows something's up, he said. We need to move faster. I have an idea, Sarah said, typing rapidly. Amanda Torres. She's a teacher at Lincoln Elementary. If we can get to her before they do... No, I interrupted. That's exactly what they'll expect. We need to be smarter. I turned to Julian. Can you get me access to Vince's office? He hesitated. Maybe. I have clearance for the medical wing, but... Perfect. Here's what we're going to do. Over the next hour, we planned meticulously. Sarah would create a diversion in the hospital's computer system. While Vince was dealing with that, Julian would get me into his office to search for concrete evidence. What about Ariel? Leonard asked. I'm handling her separately, I said grimly. Mom's invited her for dinner tomorrow. She won't suspect anything because Mom always tries to fix things between us. My phone buzzed. Another text from Ariel. Missing something, sis? Maybe you're not such a perfect mother after all. She's getting cocky. I showed them the message. Good, let her think she's winning. The next day, I met Amanda Torres. Not directly, I couldn't risk that. But I watched from my car as she left the school with a baby. My baby. My heart nearly stopped when I saw her tiny face. That's her, I whispered to Leonard. I know it is. He squeezed my hand. Soon, back at Julian's lab that evening, the final pieces fell into place. Sarah had found encrypted emails between Vince and several wealthy couples, arranging special adoptions for huge sums. Tomorrow, I decided, during Mom's dinner, Vince will be at the hospital late. He always is on Thursdays. We'll get what we need from his office, then confront Ariel with everything at once. What if she runs? Sarah worried. She won't, I said confidently. She wants to see me suffer. Running would ruin that for her. Julian handed me a USB drive. Everything's on here. The DNA tests, the altered records, the money trails. Be careful. I tucked it into my pocket just as my phone rang. Mom. Linda. Her voice was shaking. Ariel just called. She knows we know. Someone at the hospital tipped her off. My blood ran cold. What did she say? She's threatening to disappear with information about your baby. She says if we don't back off, we'll never find her. I met Leonard's eyes, saw my own determination reflected there. Tell her I'm backing off, I said calmly. Tell her she wins. And Mom, make sure she comes to dinner tomorrow, no matter what. I hung up, my hand steady. Change of plans. We moved tonight. Because if there's one thing I'd learned from all this, it's that sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served when they least expect it. Mom's dining room looked perfectly normal. Her best china, fresh flowers, the family photos lining the walls. But nothing about this dinner would be normal. Everything's ready, Samantha whispered, adjusting the hidden camera in the centerpiece. Sarah's in position at the hospital, and Julian's got eyes on Vince. The doorbell rang. Showtime. Linda. Ariel's hug was perfectly theatrical. I'm so glad you came around. All this silly suspicion was getting out of hand. I hugged her back, feeling the USB drive press against my ribs where it was hidden. You're right. I've been stressed with the new baby. Speaking of which, where's Vince? I invited him too. Ariel's smile flickered. Vince? Why would you? Oh, I ran into him at the hospital yesterday. I lied smoothly. He mentioned you two were friends. I thought it would be nice to have him join us. Before she could respond, the doorbell rang again. Mom opened it to reveal Vince, looking polished in his suit. I hope I'm not late, he said, shooting a quick glance at Ariel. Perfect timing, I smiled. We were just about to start. Throughout the appetizers, I watched them both. The subtle glances, the tension in their shoulders. My phone buzzed silently, a text from Sarah. In his office, found the files. You won't believe this. So, Vince, Leonard said casually, how long have you been running the maternity ward? 8 years, he replied, sipping his wine. It's rewarding work. Very rewarding, I imagine, I added. Financially speaking. His fork paused halfway to his mouth. Excuse me? Linda, Ariel warned, don't start. Start what? I pulled out my phone displaying a bank statement, discussing the offshore accounts, or maybe the special adoption program you've been running. Vince's face hardened. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? I pressed play on my phone. Vince's voice filled the room. The Torres swap is complete. Payment received. The Willis baby has been placed as requested. Ariel knocked over her wine glass, red liquid spreading across the white tablecloth. That's not... You recorded? Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out? I stood up slowly. Did you really think you could steal my baby and get away with it? You don't understand. Ariel's voice cracked. You've always had everything. The perfect grades, the perfect job, the perfect marriage. I just wanted to hurt me, I finished. By selling my baby to your little black market adoption ring? Vince stood abruptly. This conversation is over. Actually, Leonard blocked the doorway. It's not. The police are already at the hospital. Sarah found everything. The records, the payments, all of it. You're bluffing, Vince snarled. My phone buzzed again. A video call from Sarah. I answered on speaker. Linda, the police just arrested 3 of Vince's staff. They're confessing everything. Vince lunged for the door, but Leonard was faster. In the chaos, Ariel tried to slip away through the kitchen. Mom, I called out. Mom appeared in the kitchen doorway, blocking Ariel's escape. Sit down. Mom's voice was steel. Both of you. They sat. Here's what's going to happen, I said calmly. You're going to tell me exactly where my baby is. You're going to help reverse every single illegal adoption you've arranged, and you're going to do it now. Or what? Ariel spat. I smiled. Or the evidence doesn't go just to the police. It goes to every news outlet in the country. Your names, faces, and crimes splashed across every screen in America. How's that for perfect? Vince broke first. The records are in my safe. Code is 4891. Already got them. Sarah's voice came through the phone. Police are heading to each family now. Ariel started crying. I just wanted you to hurt like I hurt, to feel what it's like to lose something precious. Well, congratulations, I said coldly. You succeeded, but you forgot something important about me, sis. I don't just get hurt, I get even. Red and blue lights flashed outside the window. Sirens wailed. That's our cue, Leonard said, opening the door for the officers. As they led Vince and Ariel away in handcuffs, Mom touched my arm. Amanda Torres is on her way with your real daughter. The police explained everything to her. I nodded, watching my sisters retreating back. You know what the saddest part is? If she'd just talked to me, dealt with her issues, none of this had to happen. Some people prefer revenge to healing, Samantha said quietly. Yeah, I agreed, thinking of the baby I'd soon meet, my real daughter finally coming home. But revenge has a way of backfiring, and as I waited for my baby, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't about hurting others at all. It's about making things right. The police station conference room felt too small for the weight of this moment. Amanda Torres sat across from me, tears streaming down her face as she held my biological daughter, her dark hair and green eyes a mirror of my own. I had no idea, she whispered. All this time, neither did I replied softly, watching as Leonard cradled the baby she'd been raising, her actual daughter. But now we can make it right. The door opened, and Detective Morris entered with a thick file. We've got full confessions from both Vince and Ariel. You'll want to hear this. He pressed play on a recording device. Ariel's voice filled the room. It started 2 years ago. Vince approached me at a hospital fundraiser, said he knew about my issues with Linda, said he could help me hurt her in a way she'd never recover from. The baby switching scheme was already running, wealthy couples paying to get the exact baby they wanted. All I had to do was help with Linda's case. I closed my eyes, the betrayal still raw. How many families? Amanda asked, her voice shaking. 17 over the past 3 years, Detective Morris replied. We're contacting each one. It's going to be a mess, but we'll sort it out. A soft knock at the door revealed Julian. Sorry to interrupt, but there's something you need to see. He opened his laptop, showing us a news website. The headline made my heart stop. Hospital baby trafficking ring exposed. prominent administrator and accomplice sister arrested. It's everywhere, Julian said. Every major network is picking it up. Amanda stood suddenly. I need some air. I followed her into the hallway, where she turned to face me. What happens now, with the babies? We do what's best for them, I said firmly. A gradual transition. They're innocent in all this. She nodded, tears falling. I love her, you know, your daughter. I've been raising her for 3 months. And I love yours, I admitted. We'll figure this out together. The kids deserve that much. Back in the conference room, Leonard was speaking with our lawyer. The hospital board is in chaos. They're offering a settlement to all affected families. I don't want their money, I said. I want change, real change, so this never happens again. Julian looked up from his laptop. Actually, I have an idea about that. He showed us a draft proposal, a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving hospital security and supporting families affected by medical fraud. We could help people, he explained. Use what happened here to prevent it elsewhere. Before I could respond, an officer appeared. Ms. Willis, your sister's asking to see you. I found Ariel in an interview room, still in handcuffs, her makeup streaked with tears. Come to gloat? She asked bitterly. No, I came to understand why. She laughed harshly. Why? Because you had everything. The grades, the career, mom and dad's approval. Even when you got pregnant, it was perfect timing, perfect marriage, perfect life. Perfect? I leaned forward. You want to know what perfect looks like? Perfect is spending 3 months raising someone else's baby because my own sister was too consumed with jealousy to see what she was destroying. Perfect is having to tell our parents that their youngest daughter is going to prison. I tried to fix it, she whispered. Last week I told Vince we should switch them back, but he said it was too late, that we'd get caught. It was too late the moment you decided to do this. She looked up, desperate. I'll help make it right. I'll testify against Vince, tell them everything about the other families. You'll do that anyway. I stood up. But first, I want you to meet someone. I motioned to the officer who brought in Amanda, holding my daughter. This is who you hurt, I said quietly. Not just me, not just yourself. These innocent babies, their families. Look at them, Ariel. Really look. She broke down completely then, sobbing as she stared at the baby she'd tried to use as a weapon. I'm sorry, she choked out. I'm so sorry. Sorry isn't enough, I replied. But helping us fix it? That's a start. As we left her there, Amanda touched my arm. You're stronger than I would be. I don't know if I could face my sister after something like this. I watched through the window as Ariel continued crying. Strength isn't about forgiveness or revenge. It's about choosing what's right, even when it hurts. My phone buzzed. Julian had sent the nonprofit proposal to my email. Looking at it now, I realized something important. Sometimes the worst betrayals can lead to the greatest purpose. Let's do it, I told him. Let's turn this nightmare into something good. Because in the end, the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemy, it's about building something better from the ashes of what they tried to destroy. The courthouse buzzed with tension as Ariel took the stand. 6 months had passed since the truth came out, and today was the final hearing. Cameras flashed outside, reporters hungry for the story of the sister who sold babies. Please state your involvement in the hospital adoption scheme, the prosecutor requested. Ariel's voice shook. I helped Vince Lane coordinate 17 illegal baby switches over 2 years, including my sister's baby. And what was your motivation? She glanced at me in the gallery. I wanted to hurt my sister. I was jealous of her life, her success. Vince offered me a way to do that, plus a share of the money. How much money per baby? $200,000 per switch. Half went to Vince, the rest split between me and other hospital staff involved. The prosecutor held up a document. This is a bank statement showing transfers to an offshore account in your name. Total amount $1.7 million. What happened to that money? I've surrendered it all, Ariel whispered. It's being used to fund my sister's nonprofit organization for preventing medical fraud. I felt Leonard squeeze my hand as the questioning continued. Beside us, Amanda sat with my real daughter, Emma, while I held her daughter, Sophia. We'd decided to raise them as cousins, sharing custody in a way that kept both babies connected to the mothers who'd loved them from the start. The defendant has agreed to testify against all parties involved, the prosecutor announced. In exchange for her cooperation, we're recommending a reduced sentence of 5 years. 5 years. The words hung in the air as Ariel was led away. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed us. Linda, how do you feel about your sister's testimony? What about the other families affected? I stepped up to the microphones, Julian and Sarah flanking me. Today isn't about revenge or punishment. It's about justice and prevention. Our organization, Medical Trust Alliance, is already working with hospitals nationwide to implement new security measures. And the babies? Someone called out. Amanda stepped forward. We're making it work. These children deserve to know both mothers who love them. We're turning a tragedy into a family. Back at home that evening, we hosted a different kind of meeting. Representatives from 12 of the affected families sat in our living room, sharing stories and support. The DNA results came back yesterday, one mother said. We found our biological daughter in Texas. We're here to help, I assured her. The transition program we've developed. A knock at the door interrupted me. Mom stood there, looking tired but determined. I just came from visiting Ariel, she said, joining us. She asked me to give you this. She handed me a letter. With trembling hands, I opened it. Linda, I watched your press conference today. You've taken something horrible that I did and turned it into something good. That's always been the difference between us. You build while I tried to destroy. I know I can never undo what I did, but I want to help. I've given Julian access to all my contacts in the black market adoption world. Use it to find more families, help more children. The jealousy that consumed me, I see it now for what it was. A poison I chose to drink, hoping it would hurt you. Instead, it destroyed me. Take care of Emma. Let her grow up knowing love, not hatred. And maybe someday, when I've served my time and proven I've changed, you'll let me meet my niece properly. I'm sorry for everything. Ariel. She's really helping, Julian confirmed. Thanks to her information, we've identified 30 more potential cases across 3 states. Sarah pulled up a presentation on her laptop. And look at this. 10 hospitals have already adopted our new security protocols. It's working, Linda. I looked around the room, at the families healing together, at Emma sleeping peacefully in her bassinet, at the support network we'd built from the ashes of betrayal. You know what's ironic? I said to Leonard. Ariel wanted to destroy my perfect life. Instead, she helped create something even more meaningful. Speaking of meaningful, Samantha called from the kitchen. Wait until you see tomorrow's headlines. She showed us her phone. Medical Trust Alliance wins federal grant. Nationwide hospital security reform underway. The room erupted in cheers, but I stepped away for a moment, looking at Emma, my daughter, the one Ariel tried to take away. Your aunt made a terrible mistake, I whispered to her. But sometimes the worst actions can lead to the best changes. And you, little one, you're gonna grow up in a world that's safer because of what we learned from this. Because sometimes true victory isn't about winning or losing. It's about transforming pain into purpose and hatred into hope. The prison visiting room was cold and sterile, but Emma's laughter warmed it as she played with her blocks on the table. Across from us, Ariel watched her niece with a mixture of joy and regret. "She has your eyes," Ariel said softly. "I see that now." "That's what Mom always says." I adjusted Emma's sweater. The Medical Trust Alliance is implementing the last of the security protocols next week. Every hospital in the network will have them. "I saw it on the news." Ariel's hands fidgeted with her prison uniform. "They interviewed that family from Oregon, the ones we helped reunite last month. Julian's team is amazing. We've identified 98% of the switched babies now. Only 3 cases left to solve." Emma offered Ariel a block, and my sister's hands trembled as she accepted it. "I keep thinking about what would have happened if I'd succeeded," she whispered. "If you hadn't figured it out. All those families." "But I did figure it out, and now we're fixing it." The door opened and Amanda entered with Sophia. Our monthly joint visits had become a tradition, a way to keep both girls connected to their complex family story. "Look who's here to see Aunt Ariel," Amanda said, setting Sophia down next to Emma. The girls immediately started sharing blocks, oblivious to the weight of history between the adults around them. "They're so natural together," Ariel observed. "Like real cousins." "They are real cousins," I corrected. "Family isn't just about blood." Amanda nodded. "Speaking of family, did you tell her about the support group?" "What support group?" Ariel asked. I pulled out a folder. "We're starting a program for families affected by medical fraud. Not just baby switches, all kinds of hospital-related deception. People need a place to heal." That's good." Ariel's voice cracked. "You're helping people move forward instead of getting stuck in the past. Unlike me." "You're not stuck," I said firmly. "You're serving your time, helping us find other families, making amends. That's moving forward, too." Emma chose that moment to climb into Ariel's lap, offering her a crayon drawing. My sister stared at it, tears falling. "What is it?" Amanda asked gently. "It's us," Emma announced proudly. "Mommy and me and Aunt Ariel and Sophia and other mommy." The simple acceptance in a child's drawing, all of us together, no judgment, no hatred, broke something open in the room. "I never thought," Ariel wiped her eyes, "when I was planning my revenge about how much love there could be, how much room there is for everyone if you just let go of the anger. That's what we're teaching them." Amanda gestured to the girls. "That love multiplies. It doesn't divide." A guard approached, signaling the end of visiting hours. As we gathered the girls and their toys, Ariel caught my hand. "Linda, thank you, not for forgiving me. I know we're not there yet, but for letting me be part of this, for showing me a better way." I squeezed her hand. "That's what sisters do, the real kind, not the perfect kind." Outside, Leonard waited with Julian and Sarah. They had news about the nonprofit, another grant, more hospitals joining the network, expanded programs for affected families. "Ready to announce the new initiatives?" Julian asked, tablet in hand. I watched Emma and Sophia climbing into their car seats, giggling together. Watched Amanda checking their seatbelts with the same care I would use. Thought about Ariel, slowly rebuilding herself in prison, helping us piece together other broken families. "You know what?" I said. "I think I finally understand something about revenge." "What's that?" Sarah asked. "The best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting better. Building something so good that the bad thing becomes just a chapter in a much bigger story." Leonard wrapped an arm around me. "Speaking of stories, the girls will have quite one to tell someday." "Yes," I agreed, watching our unusual, beautiful family prepare to head home. "But it won't be a story about betrayal or jealousy or revenge. It'll be a story about how love finds a way, how family is something you choose every day." Emma waved at me from the car window. Her green eyes, my eyes, sparkling with innocent joy. Behind her, Sophia made silly faces, looking so much like Amanda, it made my heart ache with gratitude. This was my revenge, not destruction, but creation, not hatred, but healing, not perfection, but something far more valuable, reality, in all its messy, magnificent glory. And as we drove away from the prison, I knew that sometimes the happiest endings don't come from getting what you thought you wanted, but from discovering what you really needed all along.
The sound of Andrea's wine glass hitting my antique mahogany table made my fingers twitch. She'd been doing it all evening, that deliberate, sharp tap, tap, tap that screamed for attention. I caught her eye across the family dinner table, and there it was, that smirk I'd grown to despise since Jermaine's passing 6 months ago. My name is Paris, and this was supposed to be a simple Sunday dinner, but nothing had been simple since I lost my husband. This house has such potential, Andrea announced, swirling her red wine. Just imagine what it could be with the right updates. Her eyes swept across the living room, past the family photos Jermaine and I had carefully arranged over our 15 years together. I stabbed my fork into the roasted chicken I'd spent hours preparing. The house is perfect as it is. Oh, honey. Andrea's patronizing tone made my best friend Brooke shift uncomfortably beside me. You can't possibly maintain this place on your own. I mean, look at that wallpaper in the foyer. It's practically screaming for a renovation. The wallpaper Jermaine and I had picked out together during our first year of marriage. I took a slow sip of water, willing my voice to stay steady. I managed just fine. For now, Andrea said, her voice dripping with false concern. She turned to her husband, Tom. Remember what Mom always said about this place? How it should stay in the family? The table grew quiet. Even the clinking of silverware stopped. Andrea, Greta, my older sister, warned from the other end of the table. But Andrea was on a roll. Let's be realistic here. She leaned forward, her designer bracelet catching the light. Once you're gone, this house will be mine. It's what Jermaine would have wanted, keeping it in the blood family. The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Brooke's hand found mine under the table, squeezing gently. Jermaine's wishes, I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. That's interesting, considering the conversations we had before he passed. Andrea's perfectly plucked eyebrows drew together. What conversations? I stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. Would anyone like coffee? I just got a new French press. I'll help, Eliza, my neighbor, quickly offered. She followed me into the kitchen, closing the door behind us. You okay? She whispered, reaching for the coffee beans. I gripped the counter, letting out a shaky breath. You know what Jermaine told me right before? My voice caught. He said, Paris, don't let them change what we built. Promise me. Eliza touched my arm. Then don't. Back in the dining room, Andrea was holding court. It's just practical thinking. A single woman living in this huge house. It doesn't make sense. What doesn't make sense, I said, setting down the coffee tray with deliberate care, is assuming you know anything about what Jermaine wanted. I'm his sister, Andrea shot back. I knew him his whole life. And I was his wife. I poured coffee into Greta's cup, my hand steady despite the rage building inside me. The person he chose to build a life with. The one he trusted with everything. Everything. Andrea's laugh was sharp. Please, you were just the girl he married. This house, it's Miller family history. It belongs with us. I thought about the documents sitting in my study upstairs. The ones Jermaine and I had prepared with Walter, our family lawyer, months before his diagnosis. The ones that would wipe that smug look off Andrea's face. More coffee, Andrea? I asked sweetly. She pushed her cup forward. You know I'm right, Paris. Deep down, you know this house will be mine once you're gone. It's inevitable. I smiled, thinking of the shelter plans hidden in my desk drawer. The women whose lives would change because of Jermaine's vision, our vision. We'll see about that. Later, after everyone had left, I stood in the foyer, running my fingers over the wallpaper Andrea had criticized. Jermaine and I had spent 3 weekends putting it up, laughing at our amateur attempts, celebrating with takeout pizza on the floor. My phone buzzed, a text from Brooke. "You okay? That was intense." I typed back, "Better than okay. It's almost time." Upstairs in my study, I pulled out the folder marked Future Plans. Inside were the documents that would change everything, the proof that Jermaine and I had been planning this for years. Andrea thought she knew everything about her brother, but she had no idea what was coming. I traced Jermaine's signature on the last page, remembering his words. "Make it count, Paris. Show them what real family means." Oh, I would, and Andrea wouldn't know what hit her. The morning after the disastrous dinner, I met Eliza at our usual coffee spot downtown. She arrived with a stack of papers tucked under her arm, her lawyer face on. "I've reviewed everything," she said, sliding into the booth. "The documentation is solid, Paris. Andrea won't be able to touch it." I wrapped my hands around my coffee mug, letting the warmth seep into my fingers. But we need to move fast. The sooner we file these papers, the better." The bell above the cafe door chimed, and I tensed as Brooke rushed in, her face flushed. "You won't believe what I just heard," she said, dropping into the seat beside me. "Andrea's been making calls to real estate agents." "Already?" My stomach clenched. "The body's barely cold, and she's—" "Paris." Eliza's firm voice cut through my rising anger. "Focus. We need to talk about the letter." I pulled the envelope from my purse, the one Jermaine had given to Walter to hold until after his death. I'd received it yesterday morning, but hadn't found the courage to open it yet. "Read it," Brooke urged, squeezing my hand. My fingers trembled as I broke the seal. "My dearest Paris, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and knowing my sister, she's probably already circling like a vulture." Remember that night we sat on the porch swing, talking about turning the house into something more? That wasn't just a dream, it was our legacy. I've left everything prepared with Walter. The house isn't just a building, Paris. It's hope, it's shelter, it's everything we believed in. Don't let Andrea's greed destroy that. All my love, Jermaine. "Damn," Brooke whispered, wiping her eyes. He knew exactly what would happen. "He knew his sister," I said, carefully folding the letter, "and he trusted me to finish what we started." Eliza spread out the shelter plans on the table. "These blueprints are perfect. The conversion will be minimal. Mostly just adding security systems and updating the bathrooms. We can have it ready within months." "Andrea will lose it when she finds out," Brooke said, studying the plans. "That's what worries me," I admitted. "She's not going to go down without a fight." The cafe door opened again, and we quickly gathered the papers as Greta walked in. She spotted us and made her way over, her expression serious. "We need to talk," she said, sliding into the booth. "Andrea's been asking questions about your finances, Paris. She's trying to build a case that you can't afford the property taxes." "Of course she is." I pulled out my phone and showed them the text I'd received that morning from Walter. "Meeting set for Thursday. Bringing all documentation. Stay strong." Thursday. Eliza's eyebrows shot up. "That's perfect timing. The family gathering is Saturday." "Exactly." I allowed myself a small smile. "Andrea wants to play chess? Fine, but she doesn't know all the pieces on the board." "Paris," Greta leaned forward, her voice low. "Are you sure about this? Once you do this, there's no going back. The family will never be the same." "The family changed the moment Andrea started plotting against me," I said. "Besides, Jermaine and I planned this for years. This house was never meant to be just a house." My phone buzzed, a text from Andrea. "Coming by later to discuss the property. Need to talk about practical solutions." "She's unbelievable," Brooke muttered, reading over my shoulder. "No," I replied, standing up. "She's predictable, and that's exactly why this is going to work." I gathered my things, determination settling over me like armor. "Eliza, get those papers filed today." "Brooke, I need you to make some calls about the shelter permits." "Greta." "I'll keep my ears open," she nodded. "Andrea talks more freely around family." As I walked to my car, another text came through, this one from Walter. Found something interesting in Jermaine's old files. Come to the office ASAP. I smiled, thinking of the look on Andrea's face when she realized just how thoroughly her brother had outmaneuvered her. Jermaine had always said timing was everything, and he was right. The house wasn't just bricks and mortar, it was a promise to help women who needed a fresh start, just like I'd needed one when Jermaine first brought me home. Andrea saw it as a trophy to be won. I saw it as a mission to be fulfilled. Let her come by later. Let her make her threats and demands. Every move she made just brought us closer to the moment when everything would change. I started my car, Jermaine's letter safely tucked against my heart. Watch me, my love, I whispered. Watch me make it count. Walter's office smelled of old leather and coffee when I arrived. He was already pulling files from his cabinet, his reading glasses perched on his nose. Look at this, he said without preamble, spreading documents across his desk. Andrea's been busy. These are inquiries from 3 different real estate agencies, all dated within weeks of Jermaine's passing. I leaned forward, scanning the papers. She's been getting valuations on my house? Your house, Walter emphasized, tapping the deed. And that's not all. She's been asking about Jermaine's life insurance policy, your mortgage status, even your credit history. The door opened, and Walter's assistant poked her head in. Ms. Andrea is here to see you, sir. Walter and I exchanged glances. Perfect timing, he muttered. Paris, the storage room, now. I slipped into the adjoining room just as Andrea's heels clicked across the wooden floor. Through the thin wall, their voices carried clearly. Walter, darling? Andrea's sugary tone made my teeth ache. I need information about my brother's estate. Everything's been settled according to the will, Andrea. Paris is the legal owner of the house. Yes, but surely there are options. Paris is struggling, anyone can see that. It would be kinder to help her move on, downsize to something more manageable. Walter's chair creaked. And I suppose you have a solution in mind? I've had several offers already, excellent ones. The market's hot right now, and that neighborhood is very desirable. If Paris sells, Walter's voice sharpened. You seem very invested in property that isn't yours. That house belongs in the family. Real family. Not some charity case Jermaine married out of pity. My hands clenched into fists, but Walter's response was calm. Careful, Andrea. That charity case is your brother's widow and the legal owner of the property. For now. Andrea's voice dropped, but we both know she can't afford the upkeep. The property taxes alone are none of your concern. Walter's tone was final. Now, if there's nothing else? After Andrea left, I emerged from the storage room, shaking with anger. She's been showing my house to buyers. She's been trying to, Walter corrected, pulling out another folder. But that's not what I called you here for. Look at this. He handed me a document dated 3 years ago. As I read, my eyes widened. Jermaine knew, I whispered. He knew she'd try something like this. Your husband was a smart man. Walter smiled. And he left us everything we need. My phone buzzed. A text from Eliza. Documents filed. Also, you need to see this. Attached was a screenshot of Andrea's social media post. Family dinner this Saturday. Time to discuss some exciting changes for the old Miller house. She's planning something for Saturday, I said, showing Walter the post. So are we. He handed me another envelope. These are the final shelter proposals. Everything's ready. I drove home, my mind racing. Andrea's car was in my driveway, and she was sitting on my porch like she owned it. We need to talk, she said as I approached. No, we don't. I moved to pass her, but she blocked my path. I have buyers ready to go. 7 figures, Paris. Think about it. You could start fresh somewhere else. I met her gaze. Like Jermaine wanted me to start fresh somewhere else when you tried the same thing 15 years ago. She blinked. What? Oh, you didn't think I knew about that. How you tried to convince him I was only after his money. How you showed him photos of me with my ex, claiming I was cheating. Colour drained from her face. He told you. He told me everything, and he left me everything I need to protect what we built. You're bluffing, she said, but uncertainty crept into her voice. Saturday's dinner should be interesting, I replied, finally pushing past her to unlock my door. Hope you're ready for some exciting changes. This isn't over, she called after me. You're right about that, I muttered, closing the door in her face. Inside, I leaned against the wall, heart pounding. My phone buzzed again, Brooke this time. Shelter permits approved, we're good to go. I looked at the family photo on the wall, at Jermaine's smiling face. He'd known this day would come, had prepared for it, had trusted me to see it through. Saturday couldn't come fast enough. Andrea thought she was orchestrating some grand takeover, but she had no idea she was walking right into our trap. I touched the documents in my bag, thinking of all the women who would soon find sanctuary here. The house will be yours once I'm gone? I whispered, remembering Andrea's words. We'll see about that. 3 days before the family dinner, Greta showed up at my door with a box of old photographs and a worried expression. You need to see this, she said, pushing past me into the living room. She spread the photos across the coffee table, pointing to one in particular. Remember this? The photograph showed Jermaine and me on our wedding day, but in the background, partially obscured, was Andrea holding what looked like papers. Those documents she's holding, Greta's voice dropped. They're the original deed to this house. I overheard her talking to her friend yesterday. She's planning to claim Jermaine promised her the house before he met you. I picked up the photo, studying it closer. She's really getting desperate, isn't she? The doorbell rang again. This time it was Brooke and Eliza, both looking flushed with excitement. We found something huge, Brooke announced, pulling out her tablet. Andrea's been hiding financial troubles, big ones. Eliza nodded, sitting down. She's underwater on her own mortgage, 3 months behind on payments. That explains the urgency, Greta said. She's not just being spiteful, she needs money. I was about to respond when my phone rang. Walter's name flashed on the screen. Paris, he said without preamble. Andrea just left my office. She's claiming to have written proof that Jermaine promised her the house. Says she's presenting it at Saturday's dinner. Let me guess. Dated before our wedding? Exactly. She's getting sloppy, Paris. Desperate people make mistakes. After hanging up, I turned to find 3 pairs of eyes watching me expectantly. We need to move up our timeline, I said. Eliza, how fast can you get those shelter permits processed? Already done, she replied. But there's something else. I found an old letter in the courthouse records, from your mother-in-law to Jermaine, written just before she died. My heart skipped. What did it say? She knew what Andrea was like. She specifically asked Jermaine to keep the house away from her, said Andrea would destroy everything good about it. The front door opened, and we all jumped. It was Tom, Andrea's husband, looking uncomfortable. Paris, he said, hovering in the doorway. I need to tell you something. Andrea, she's been forging documents. The room went silent. Tom shifted nervously. I found them in her office. Practice sheets trying to copy Jermaine's signature. She's planning to present a fake promise letter at the dinner. Why are you telling me this? I asked, studying his face. Because Jermaine was my friend too. And because... He pulled out his phone, showing us a text thread. She's been lying to me about everything. The house, the money, all of it. Greta stood up. Tom, we need you to tell us everything. For the next hour, Tom revealed Andrea's entire plan. The forged documents, the potential buyers, who didn't actually exist, the manufactured evidence of my supposed financial troubles. She's presenting everything at dinner, he finished. She thinks she has everyone convinced. Perfect, I said, surprising them all. Let her present her case. Let her show everyone exactly who she is. Paris, Brooke warned. That's risky. No, Eliza interrupted, catching on. It's brilliant. Let her commit to the lies publicly. Then we show everyone the truth, I finished. All of it. I went to my study and returned with a small wooden box. The one Jermaine had given me on our last anniversary. "What's that?" Greta asked. I opened it, revealing a USB drive and a stack of letters. Insurance. Jermaine knew his sister better than anyone. He kept records of everything. Every threat, every scheme, every attempt to undermine our marriage. "Including the time she tried to break us up?" Tom asked quietly. I nodded. "Everything." My phone buzzed with a text from Andrea. "Hope you're ready for Saturday. Time to face reality." I showed the others, and Brooke laughed. "She has no idea what's coming, does she?" "No," I smiled, touching the wooden box. "She doesn't." As everyone left, Greta hung back. "Are you sure about this? Once you do this, there's no going back. The family will be torn apart." I looked at the wedding photo again, at Andrea's scheming face in the background. "Andrea tore this family apart long ago, Greta. I'm just going to make sure everyone finally sees it." The truth would cost us all something, but as Jermaine always said, some prices are worth paying. Saturday would change everything, and I was ready. Let Andrea bring her forged documents and fake promises. I had something better, I had the truth, and it was time to set it free. Friday night's family meeting was Andrea's idea. A casual gathering before the big dinner tomorrow, she'd said. But as everyone filed into my living room, the tension was anything but casual. "I thought we could all discuss the future of the house," Andrea announced, perching on the edge of my favorite armchair like she already owned it. "As a family." "Funny," I said, setting down a tray of coffee. "I didn't realize my house was up for discussion." "Our house," Andrea corrected sweetly. "The Miller family house." Eliza, who'd insisted on being present as my lawyer, cleared her throat. "Perhaps we should clarify the legal status." "Oh, let's not get technical," Andrea interrupted, pulling out a folder. "I have something more important to share." I caught Tom shifting uncomfortably on the couch, his eyes fixed on the folder. He knew what was coming. "I found this in Jermaine's old things," Andrea continued, removing a letter. Dated 3 months before he met Paris. The paper trembled slightly in her hands as she read, "Dear Andrea, you've always loved this house as much as I have. When the time comes, I want you to have it. It should stay in the family." Brooke snorted. Convenient timing. "It's his signature," Andrea insisted, passing the letter around. "You all know his handwriting." I sipped my coffee, watching as the letter made its way through the room. When it reached Greta, she studied it carefully. "Interesting," Greta said. "The ink looks remarkably fresh for a 15-year-old letter." Andrea's cheeks flushed. "Well, I had to make a copy. The original was damaged." "Of course it was," I murmured. "The point is," Andrea pressed on, "Jermaine wanted this house preserved as a family home, not turned into some shelter." The room went silent. I set down my cup slowly. "How did you know about the shelter plans?" Andrea's face paled slightly. I heard rumors." "From going through my office?" I asked. "Or from hiring that private investigator to dig through my papers?" "That's ridiculous," she sputtered. "I would never." "The investigator's name is Marcus," I cut in. "He came to me last week, very apologetic. Seems his conscience got the better of him." Eliza pulled out her phone, playing a recorded conversation. "Yeah, Ms. Andrea hired me to find dirt on her sister-in-law. Wanted anything that could prove financial instability." Andrea jumped to her feet. "That's illegal. You can't record." "Marcus recorded it," Eliza corrected, "in a one-party consent state. Totally legal." "This is all very interesting," I said, standing up. "But since we're sharing documents..." I retrieved my own folder. "I have something too." I pulled out a bank statement. "This shows multiple withdrawals from your account to various real estate agents. Curious, since you claim to have buyers lined up, but none of these agents have any record of listing appointments." "You went through my bank records." Andrea's voice rose. "No need," Tom spoke up quietly. I showed them. Andrea whirled on her husband. "You what?" "Enough, Andrea," he said firmly. "No more lies. While we're at it," I continued, "should we discuss the forged documents on your computer? The ones where you practiced Jermaine's signature?" The color drained from Andrea's face. You can't prove. Actually, Eliza interrupted, Tom gave us access to your home office computer. The files are quite clear. Andrea's composure cracked. This house belongs with real family, not some charity case who trapped my brother into marriage. Trapped him, I laughed. Is that what you told yourself when you tried to break us up? When you hired that woman to flirt with him at his office? What? Several voices exclaimed. Oh, yes, I nodded. Jermaine told me everything. He kept records too, Andrea, of every scheme, every plot, every attempt to undermine our marriage. You're lying, she whispered. I pulled out my phone, playing a video. Jermaine's face appeared on the screen, recorded months before his death. Andrea's trying again, Paris. She thinks I don't know about the real estate agents, the plan she's making. But I know my sister. That's why tomorrow, we're meeting with Walter to make sure everything's legally set for the shelter. It's time to secure our legacy, honey. The right way. Andrea sank back into the chair, her face ashen. Tomorrow's dinner should be interesting, I said quietly. Especially when everyone sees what's in Jermaine's actual final letters. As people filed out, shaken and subdued, Andrea remained frozen in the chair. Get out of my house, I said firmly. She looked up, hatred burning in her eyes. This isn't over. You're right, I agreed. Tomorrow it will be. After she left, Brooke hugged me tight. Are you ready for tomorrow? I touched the USB drive in my pocket, the one containing everything we'd need to end this once and for all. More than ready, I replied. It's time everyone knew the truth. Saturday morning brought dark clouds and distant thunder. I was in the kitchen preparing for the dinner when Brooke burst through the back door, soaking wet from the rain. Andrea's called everyone in the family, she said, shaking water from her hair. She's telling them you forged Jermaine's video. I continued chopping vegetables. Let her. Paris, she's saying she has proof that you manipulated the footage, that you're trying to steal her inheritance. The knife paused mid-chop. Did she mention how she got into my email account? Brooke's eyes widened. What? Walter called earlier. Someone tried to access my private emails with Jermaine. The IP address traced back to Andrea's house. The back door opened again, and Eliza rushed in, clutching her briefcase. We have a problem. Andrea's filed an emergency injunction to stop any changes to the property. On what grounds? I asked, wiping my hands. She's claiming mental incompetence. Says Jermaine wasn't in his right mind when he made those final arrangements with you. The thunder crashed closer, making us all jump. My phone rang. It was Walter. Paris, turn on the local news. Now. I grabbed the remote, switching on the kitchen TV. Andrea's face filled the screen, standing outside her real estate office. My brother's widow is attempting to destroy our family's legacy, she was saying, tears in her eyes. This historic home has been in our family for generations, and now she wants to turn it into a transient housing facility. My brother would never have wanted this. She's really doing this, Brooke whispered. My phone buzzed with messages from family members. Is this true? How could you do this to Jermaine's memory? We need to talk. Perfect, I said, surprising both Brooke and Eliza. Perfect? Eliza asked. Paris, she's turning the family against you publicly. No, I smiled, pulling out my phone. She's making sure everyone's watching. I dialed Walter. Move everything up. We're doing it before dinner. Are you sure? He asked. The storm is perfect. Everyone's already on their way here to avoid the weather. Text the family. Emergency meeting at 4 instead of dinner at 6. I turned to Brooke and Eliza. Call Greta and Tom. Tell them it's time. The next few hours were a blur of preparation. By 3:30, the storm was directly overhead and my house was ready. Walter arrived first, carrying a projector and screen. Everything's set, he said, setting up in the living room. Are you ready for this? I've been ready for 15 years, I replied. The doorbell started ringing as family members arrived, shaking off umbrellas and rain jackets. Andrea came last, flanked by 2 men in suits. My lawyers, she announced smugly, just in case. Perfect, I said again. Please, everyone sit down. The room was packed. Every family member who'd received Andrea's calls was there, along with her lawyers and our core support group. Before Andrea continues her public campaign, I began, there's something you all need to see. Walter dimmed the lights and started the projector. Jermaine's face appeared on the screen, but this wasn't the short clip from yesterday. This was different. If you're watching this, he began, then everything I predicted has happened. Andrea, sis, I love you, but I know what you're doing right now. I know because you've done it before. The room went silent except for the storm outside. Paris and I made plans for this house years ago. Real plans, not the fake documents you're probably waving around right now. Andrea's lawyer shifted uncomfortably. But this isn't just about the house, Jermaine continued. This is about the truth. Walter, show them. Walter pressed a button, and documents began appearing on screen. Bank records, emails, photos, all documenting Andrea's schemes over the years. Oh my God, someone whispered. The house was never going to be yours, Andrea, Jermaine's voice continued, because you never understood what it really meant. It's not about property value or family legacy. It's about helping others, like this family helped me. Lightning flashed outside as the final document appeared, the original shelter proposal, dated 5 years ago, signed by both Jermaine and me. Paris, Jermaine's voice softened, show them the letter. I stood up, pulling out an envelope I'd never shown anyone. This, I said, is what Jermaine wrote the day before he died. Andrea jumped to her feet. Stop. I forbid. You forbid nothing. I cut her off. Not anymore. The storm raged outside, but inside, the truth was finally breaking free. I opened the letter, and as I began to read, Andrea's carefully constructed world started crumbling around her. The letter shook slightly in my hands as I began to read. To my family, if you're hearing this, then Andrea has done exactly what I knew she would. She's tried to take everything from Paris, just like she's tried to take everything from everyone her entire life. But this time, I was ready. The house you're all sitting in right now, it was never meant to be just a house. When I was 16, this place saved my life. Mum and Dad took in runaways, abused women, anyone who needed shelter. Andrea hated it. She called them parasites, said they were beneath us. But Paris? The first time I told her about Mum and Dad's mission, she cried. She understood, because she'd been one of those women once before I met her. She'd escaped an abusive relationship with nothing but a backpack and hope. Andrea, I know you're listening. I know about the private investigator you hired last year to dig up Paris's past. You thought you'd find dirt. Instead, you found the truth about why this house matters so much to both of us. Remember when you tried to break us up by showing me those photos of Paris with her ex? You didn't know he was the man she'd run from, the man this house helped her hide from. Paris and I have spent years preparing this place to become a proper shelter. The blueprints are done, the permits are filed, the funding is secured, and it's all legally binding. Andrea's lawyers exchanged glances, shuffling their papers nervously. But that's not all, I continued reading. Walter, show them the trust documents. Walter clicked to the next slide, displaying financial records that made Andrea gasp. The house, the trust fund, everything you thought you could claim, it's all been legally transferred to the Shelter Foundation. Paris isn't just the owner, she's the executive director of a fully funded non-profit organization. Thunder crashed outside as Andrea lunged forward. He was sick, he wasn't thinking clearly. Actually, Walter interrupted, standing up. These documents were signed and notarized 3 years ago, when Jermaine was in perfect health. I have the medical records to prove it. I kept reading. And Andrea, that trust fund you've been counting on, the one you've already spent in your head, I've donated it all to the shelter's operational costs. Every penny. No, Andrea whispered, sinking back into her chair. You can't. I can, and I did, Jermaine's words continued, because some things are more important than greed. Some things are about legacy, the real kind, not the kind you can sell to the highest bidder. The room was dead silent except for the storm outside and Andrea's ragged breathing. Paris, I read the final paragraphs, my voice steady. I know you'll make this work. You understand what this house means, what it can do. You lived it. And now you'll help others live it too. To my family, support her, help her. Be the people Mom and Dad raised us to be. And Andrea, I forgive you, but I won't let you hurt anyone else. Love, Jermaine. I folded the letter as Andrea's lawyers stood up, gathering their things. Miss Andrea, one said quietly, we'll be withdrawing our services. The injunction was filed under false pretenses. You can't, Andrea screamed, jumping to her feet. I'll pay you double. With what money? Tom asked softly. You've spent everything we had on this vendetta. Andrea spun toward him. Shut up, just shut up. No, he said, standing. I'm done being quiet. I'm done watching you destroy people. The shelter opens next month, I announced to the room. Anyone who wants to help is welcome. This house has always been about helping people. Now it's official. Family members began standing, moving away from Andrea, some coming to hug me, others just nodding in support. This isn't over, Andrea snarled, grabbing her purse. I'll fight this. No, Walter said firmly, you won't, because the next document I file will be a restraining order, and after that, fraud charges for those forged documents. Andrea's face crumpled. She looked around the room, finding no allies, no support. With a choked sob, she ran for the door, slamming it behind her. The storm outside was beginning to clear as sunlight broke through the clouds. Paris, Greta said, hugging me tight. Jermaine would be so proud. I looked around the room, at the family members wiping tears, at Tom's relieved smile, at Brooke and Eliza's triumphant grins. The house isn't mine anymore, I said. It belongs to everyone who needs it, just like it always should have. Outside, a rainbow appeared as the storm cleared, arching over the house like a promise kept. Somewhere, I knew Jermaine was smiling. The war was over. Now the real work could begin. The morning of the shelter's opening, I stood in the foyer, running my fingers over the wallpaper Andrea had once criticized. The house smelled of fresh paint and new beginnings. First resident arrives in an hour, Brooke said, checking her clipboard. You ready? Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Tom stood on the porch, holding a box of photo albums. These belong here, he said quietly. Andrea, she took them when Jermaine got sick. I found them in our attic. I opened the top album. There was Jermaine as a teenager, helping his mother make up beds for their unofficial guests. Another showed him and his father installing the security system that would later become the foundation for our upgraded version. She tried to erase this part of the house's history, Tom said, but I thought, maybe the new residents would like to know the story. They'll know, I assured him. Every part of it. The sound of cars pulling up made us turn. Greta and Eliza were leading a group of volunteers, carrying welcome baskets and supplies. Behind them, Walter's car parked, and he emerged with a familiar wooden box. Found this in the office, he said, handing it to me. Thought it belonged here. Inside was a stack of thank you notes, dozens of them, written to Jermaine's parents over the years from women they'd helped. The front door opened again. A young woman in a police uniform stepped in. Officer Sarah, she introduced herself. I'm here about the shelter's security protocols, but... She hesitated, looking around. I also wanted to say thank you. I stayed here once, 20 years ago, when the Millers took me in. This place saved my life. Tears pricked my eyes as I showed her the thank you notes. Would you add yours to the collection? As she wrote, more volunteers arrived. The house hummed with activity, beds being made, supplies being organized, security systems being tested. Paris, Eliza called from the study. There's someone here to see you. I walked in to find Andrea's daughter, Rachel, standing awkwardly by the desk. Mum's in therapy, she said without preamble. Real therapy this time. Dad insisted. She pulled out an envelope. She wanted me to give you this, but she was too ashamed to come herself. The letter was brief. Paris, I was wrong. About everything. I let greed poison what should have been sacred. Jermaine knew who I really was, and he tried to help me see it too. I'm trying now. I'm sorry. Andrea. She means it, Rachel said quietly. For the first time in her life, I think she actually means it. The doorbell chimed again. Our first resident had arrived. Through the window, I saw a young woman clutching a small bag, her eyes darting nervously. That was me once, I said to Rachel, scared, alone, not sure who to trust. Can I help? Rachel asked. Volunteer here sometimes. Of course, I smiled. That's what family does. We walked to the front door together. The young woman flinched as I opened it, but her eyes widened as she took in the warm, bright interior. Welcome home, I said softly. I'm Paris, and this... I gestured to the volunteers, the photos, the thank you notes, all the pieces of history and hope woven together. This is your safe place now. She stepped inside, trembling. I don't know how to thank you. Just live, I told her. Live and heal, and someday, when you're ready, help someone else do the same. As we showed her to her room, I caught sight of Jermaine's photo on the wall. He was standing in this very spot, arms open wide, that brilliant smile lighting up his face. The house didn't feel like a battleground anymore. The war with Andrea, the pain, the struggle, it had all transformed into something stronger, something healing. Paris, Brooke called. 2 more arrivals. I touched Jermaine's photo briefly. Watch this, my love. Watch how many lives we're going to change. The front door opened again, bringing with it more stories, more chances for healing. The house embraced them all, just as it had embraced me all those years ago. This wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. For the residents, for Andrea, for all of us. And as I welcomed another scared, hopeful face into our sanctuary, I knew this was exactly what coming home was supposed to feel like. The house wasn't just mine anymore. It belonged to every woman who would walk through that door, carrying nothing but hope and the courage to start again. Just like I had once done. Just like I would help others do, every single day, in this house that love had built.
I stared at my phone screen, the banking app's interface blurring as tears welled up in my eyes. My fingers trembled as I gripped my wine glass, the rich Cabernet suddenly tasting like vinegar. $92,000. Gone. Just like that. My name is Patricia, and I just discovered my mother emptied my life savings to buy my brother a house. Oh, honey, don't make that face, Mom chirped from across our family's mahogany dining table, the one she'd bragged about buying from a designer boutique last month. Caden needed the money more than you do. You're single, no kids. What were you saving for anyway? I looked up from my phone, meeting my brother's smug grin. He was already scrolling through real estate listings on his tablet, showing Dad pictures of his future mansion in Woodland Hills. The same brother who'd never held a steady job for more than 8 months. The same brother who still had Mom do his laundry at 36. That money was mine, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I trusted you with that account for tax purposes. 10 years of savings. Don't be dramatic, Mom waved her hand dismissively. We raised you better than to be selfish. Family helps family. Besides, Caden has responsibilities coming up. He's planning to propose to Sarah next month. I blinked. Sarah broke up with him 3 weeks ago. Minor setback, Caden shrugged, not even looking up from his tablet. Hey, check out this pool. Dad cleared his throat, finally speaking up. Nancy, maybe we should have discussed this with Patricia first. Ernest, please, Mom cut him off. Patricia makes good money at her accounting firm. She can start saving again. Caden needs to establish himself. I stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. The sound made everyone look up, except Mom, who was now pouring herself another glass of wine. Where are you going? She asked, annoyance creeping into her voice. We haven't had dessert. I made your favorite chocolate mousse. It's Caden's favorite, I corrected her, grabbing my purse. Mine is tiramisu, but you'd know that if you ever actually listened to me. Now you're just being petty, Caden chimed in. Come on, sis. It's not like you were using that money anyway. You work 60 hours a week. When would you even have time to buy a house? I walked to the door, my heels clicking against the floor like a countdown to explosion. But I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I turned around one last time, my voice steady. Mom, I'm calling the bank tomorrow. I never authorized this transfer. Mom's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. You wouldn't dare. We're family. Family doesn't steal from family, I replied, then added with a smile that felt like broken glass. But you're right about one thing. I can afford to start over. I have no kids to support after all. The door clicked shut behind me, cutting off Mom's indignant sputter. In my car, I pulled out my phone and dialed the bank's 24-hour fraud hotline. As I waited on hold, I opened my photos and found the screenshot I'd taken of Mom's text from last year. Of course I removed my name from your savings account, sweetie. I took care of it right after tax season. Another lie, another manipulation, another example of how Mom always expected me to give, while Caden took. The hold music stopped and a friendly voice came on the line. Thank you for calling. How can I help you tonight? I took a deep breath, my hands steady now as I gripped the steering wheel. I need to report an unauthorized withdrawal from my account, and I have evidence of premeditated fraud. As I drove home that night, my mother's words echoed in my head. Family helps family. Well, she was about to learn exactly how helpful I could be. I was going to help them understand consequences. I was going to help them learn about karma, and most importantly, I was going to help myself to some long overdue justice. My phone buzzed with a text from Caden. Thanks for the down payment, sis. God really does provide. I screenshot the message, saving it to a new folder labeled Karma Package. Then I poured myself a proper glass of wine in my quiet apartment and started making calls. First to my best friend Jillian, who happened to be a lawyer, then to my bank manager. They wanted to play games with my money? Fine. But they were about to learn that this overlooked, childless daughter knew exactly how to play and win. Let me get this straight, Jillian said, spreading documents across her desk. Your mother never actually removed herself from your joint account, then used that access to transfer your entire savings to your brother for a house down payment? She pushed her glasses up her nose, frowning at the bank statements. That's exactly what happened. I handed her my phone, showing the text messages. She told me last year she'd removed her name. I trusted her. Classic mistake. Jillian's heels clicked against the floor as she walked to her filing cabinet. But it works in our favor. The bank's fraud department is already investigating. I nodded, taking a sip of the coffee she'd offered. They froze the remaining funds this morning. Mom's already called me 6 times. Don't answer, Jillian warned, pulling out more forms. In fact, let's document every call, text, and email from now on. Your brother posted about the house on social media? I pulled up Caden's Instagram post, a photo of him grinning in front of a sold sign, caption reading, When God closes a door, he buys you a 3-bedroom in Woodland Hills. Blessed, choose God is good. New homeowner. Perfect, Jillian muttered, taking screenshots. The timestamp on this matches the unauthorized transfer. Patricia, we have a solid case here, but I need to ask, what do you want out of this? My money back? No, she leaned forward, her expression serious. What do you really want? Because we can go about this 2 ways. We can file a simple fraud claim, probably get your money back after some negotiation, keep things relatively peaceful. Or, she paused, tapping her pen against the desk. We can go nuclear, full investigation, possible criminal charges, every financial irregularity exposed. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Mom. Stop being childish. Family comes first. Call me back. I showed Jillian the message. They think I'm bluffing. They think I'll back down because family comes first. You know what? I want nuclear. You understand this could permanently damage your relationship with them? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. What relationship? The one where I'm their backup ATM? Where my brother gets houses and I get guilt trips? Fair point. Jillian started filling out forms. We'll need statements from the bank, proof of the unauthorized transfer, those text messages. My phone rang again. This time it was Caden. Put it on speaker, Jillian whispered, already taking notes. I answered. Hello? Sis, what the hell? Caden's voice was tight with anger. The bank just called me about some fraud investigation. Mom's crying. What are you doing? Exactly what I said I would do last night, reporting unauthorized access to my account. It wasn't unauthorized. Mom's name was on the account. An account she claimed to have removed herself from, in writing. I met Jillian's approving nod. Besides, having access doesn't give her the right to empty it without my permission. We're family. We don't need permission. Actually, Jillian spoke up, you absolutely do need permission, and I'm documenting this call as evidence. Who's that? Caden demanded. My lawyer, I replied calmly. Would you like her contact information for your attorney? Silence. Then, you're really doing this? You're really going to hurt Mom and Dad like this? No, Caden, I'm not hurting anyone. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. You selfish bye. I hung up before he could finish. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from excitement. Well, Jillian said, finishing her notes. That was illuminating and recorded. Now let's talk about the realtor involved in this transaction. We'll need to question him about the loan application process. His name is Zachariah, I said, pulling up his business card on my phone. He's actually an old friend of Caden's. Even better. Jillian's smile was predatory. Let's see how loyal he stays when faced with potential conspiracy charges. My phone buzzed with a text from my coworker Annabelle. You okay? You look intense today? I typed back, starting a war. Tell you over lunch? You know, Jillian said, watching me text. Most people would be falling apart right now. You seem energized. I looked up at her. 10 years of savings, 10 years of being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one they could always count on to give in. Maybe I'm tired of being counted on. Maybe I want to be counted out. Well, she gathered the papers into a neat pile. Let's make sure they never make the mistake of underestimating you again. First step, we file these papers today. Second step, we subpoena your brother's loan application. Something tells me we'll find more than just your stolen savings in there. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. Nuclear it is? Welcome to Casa de Caden, my brother announced, throwing open his front door with theatrical flair. The housewarming party was in full swing, and I'd arrived fashionably late with an expensive bottle of wine and a camera-ready smile. It's something, I said, taking in the half-finished renovations. Construction materials littered the corners, and there was a distinct smell of fresh paint mixed with desperation. The contractors are coming back next week, he explained quickly, grabbing the wine. Just a small delay with payments. You know how it is. Oh, I knew exactly how it was. The bank's fraud investigation was moving slowly but surely, and Caden's mortgage payments were already showing signs of strain. Patricia, Mom appeared, pulling me into a hug that smelled of Chardonnay. I'm so glad you came. I was worried after our misunderstanding. Misunderstanding, I repeated, maintaining my smile. Is that what we're calling it? Before she could respond, Zachariah approached, real estate agent smile firmly in place. Patricia, great to finally meet Caden's sister. Your brother's quite the negotiator. Got this place for a steal. I bet he did, I replied, pulling out my phone and casually hitting record in my pocket. Must have been quite the loan application process. Zachariah's smile flickered. Oh, you know, standard stuff. Though between friends, he lowered his voice, glancing at Caden across the room. Some of the income documentation was a bit creative. Creative how? Well, he laughed nervously. Let's just say your brother's salary might have gotten a slight boost on paper. But hey, everyone does it, right? I kept my voice neutral. And the down payment verification? That was the easy part. Your mom handled all that. Though, he frowned, the bank's been asking some weird questions lately. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you? Not a thing, I lied smoothly. More wine? I circulated through the party, recording snippets of conversation. Mom bragging about Caden's success. Dad looking increasingly uncomfortable when people asked about the financing. Caden avoiding his contractor's calls. Hey, sis, Caden cornered me in the kitchen. The bank keeps calling about that fraud thing. Can't you just drop it? Look at this place. It's amazing. Don't you want your big brother to be happy? Happy? I set down my wine glass carefully. Like how happy I was when I discovered my savings were gone. You're still on that? Come on, you know Mom did it because she loves me. Because she loves you more, I corrected him. There's a difference. His face darkened. You know what your problem is? You're jealous. You've always been jealous of me. Well, guess what? The money's spent. The house is mine. What are you going to do about it? I pulled out my phone, stopping the recording. Nothing. I'm going to do absolutely nothing. Karma, on the other hand. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with an email from the bank. Urgent. Account freeze notice. I showed it to Caden. Looks like Karma's right on schedule. The color drained from his face. What did you do? Me? Nothing. But it seems the bank has some concerns about creative income documentation and unauthorized fund transfers. Weird, right? A crash from the living room interrupted us. Mom had dropped her wine glass, staring at her phone in horror. The first foreclosure warning had arrived. Patricia! She hissed, storming into the kitchen. Fix this! Now! Fix what? I asked innocently. The fraud you committed? The loan application Caden falsified? The contractor he can't pay? Which part needs fixing, Mom? We're your family. Really? Because families don't steal from each other. Families don't forge documents. Families don't. I'm your mother. And I'm your daughter, the one you stole from, the one you thought would never fight back. How's that working out for you? The contractor chose that moment to appear. Mr. Caden, about that overdue payment? I slipped out during the ensuing chaos, but not before hearing Zachariah frantically explaining to someone on his phone that he had no idea about the fraudulent documentation. Outside, I took a deep breath of evening air. My phone buzzed with a text from Jillian. Bank freeze confirmed. Mortgage fraud investigation starting. You okay? I looked back at the house, my brother's dream home, bought with my stolen savings. Through the window, I could see Mom gesturing wildly, Dad looking defeated, and Caden's face growing redder by the second. Never better, I texted back. Karma's just getting started. The contractor stormed out, followed by several guests. I got in my car just as Caden's voice boomed through the neighborhood. What do you mean, my accounts are frozen? I started the engine, smiling. The house he didn't build was already starting to crumble. I just don't understand why you're being so difficult about this, Mom said, stirring her coffee with sharp, angry movements. We were sitting in my favorite cafe, Neutral Territory, 3 weeks after the housewarming disaster. Caden's missed 2 days of work this week because of stress. Is that what you wanted? I took a slow sip of my latte. What I wanted was my savings to still be in my account. That money was just sitting there. Caden needed... Mom, I cut her off. I'm not having this conversation again. The bank's investigation is proceeding exactly as it should. You're being ungrateful, she snapped. After everything we've done for you. Done for me? I set my cup down with a sharp clink. Like what? Taking my money without permission? Gaslighting me when I object? Supporting Caden's mortgage fraud? It wasn't fraud. He just adjusted some numbers. I have the documents proving otherwise. Would you like to see them? Her face paled. What documents? The one Zachariah provided to the investigation yesterday. Turns out your golden boy wasn't just creative with his salary statements. He took out another line of credit using inflated numbers. Mom's hand trembled as she reached for her phone. I need to call your brother. Don't bother. He's probably meeting with the bank's fraud department right now. The cafe door chimed, and Dad walked in. He looked older somehow, tired in a way I'd never seen before. He pulled up a chair without asking. The bank called again, he said quietly. They're freezing all associated accounts pending investigation. Mom's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. All accounts? But what about our savings? Should have thought about that before co-signing on Caden's creative documentation, I said, keeping my voice level. Patricia, Dad looked at me directly for the first time in weeks. Is there any way to fix this? Fix what, Dad? The theft? The fraud? Or just the consequences? We're your parents, Mom hissed. Family matters more than money. Funny how that rule only applies when it's my money being taken. My phone buzzed. An email notification from the bank. Notice of funds retraction in process. I showed it to them. Mom's face went from pale to red. You can't do this. We'll be ruined. No, I corrected her. You'll face consequences. There's a difference. Nancy, Dad said softly. We did steal from her. Mom whirled on him. Ernest, don't you dare. We did, he continued, his voice growing stronger. We took her money without asking. We helped Caden lie on his applications. We're not the victims here. I stared at my father, seeing a glimpse of the man who used to stand up to Mom before decades of enabling wore him down. My phone buzzed again, a text from Caden. You've ruined me. I hope you're happy. They're taking my car tomorrow. Your brother's car is being repossessed, I informed them calmly. Apparently, the loan application for that had some creative numbers, too. Mom stood up so quickly her chair scraped against the floor. Several cafe patrons turned to look. You're heartless, she spat. Your own brother stole from me, I finished. With your help, and now you're both facing the consequences of your actions. Funny how that works. We should go, Dad said, gently taking Mom's arm. Patricia, I'm sorry. We should have never. Save it, I cut him off. Your apology means nothing while you're still enabling them. They left, Mom practically dragging Dad behind her. Through the cafe window, I watched them argue in the parking lot. My phone buzzed with another text, this time from Annabelle. Bank just called Caden's office. He stormed out cursing your name. You okay? I typed back. Never better. Karma's working overtime today. Another message popped up from Jillian. Housing inspector got our anonymous tip about the unpermitted renovations. Inspection scheduled for tomorrow. You sure about this? I watched my parents' car pull away, Mom gesturing wildly as Dad gripped the steering wheel. I thought about 10 years of savings, of always being the responsible one, of watching Caden get everything while I got nothing but expectations. Absolutely sure, I replied. Time to let karma finish what they started. The cafe barista brought me another latte, giving me a sympathetic smile. She'd heard everything. On the house, she said. Sounds like you could use it. I thanked her, watching steam rise from the cup. Outside, storm clouds were gathering, perfect weather for karma's next act. The glass doors of my office building burst open as Mom and Caden stormed in, their faces twisted with rage. My coworker Annabelle shot me a warning look across our shared workspace. She's destroying everything, Caden shouted, ignoring the startled faces of my colleagues. The bank's pulling my loan. The house is going into foreclosure. Are you happy now? I kept typing, not looking up. You need to leave. This is my workplace. Like hell I'm leaving. He slammed his hand on my desk, making my coffee mug rattle. Fix this. Security, Annabelle said quietly into her phone. Patricia, Mom stepped forward, her voice shaking. The bank is freezing all our accounts. They're saying something about conspiracy to commit fraud. Your father can't even access his retirement funds. Now I looked up. Maybe you should have thought about that before helping Caden forge loan documents. I didn't forge anything. Caden's face was red. I just adjusted some numbers. While using stolen money as a down payment, I added. The bank tends to frown on that combination. It wasn't stolen, Mom insisted. I had access to that account. Access you claim to have removed, in writing. I pulled out my phone, showing the text message. The bank's fraud department found that particularly interesting. Security arrived, 2 officers I knew well from my years working in the building. Is there a problem here? Yes, I said calmly. These people are harassing me at my workplace. You heartless bitch, Caden spat. I'm your brother. And I'm your sister, the one you stole from. Funny how family only matters when you need something from me. Ms. Wong, one of the security officers, stepped forward. Would you like us to escort them out? Mom grabbed my arm. We raised you better than this. No, I pulled away. You raised me to be a doormat. I decided to be better on my own. Your brother's life is falling apart. Mom's voice cracked. He's going to lose everything. Everything he bought with my money, I corrected her, and obtained through fraud. Those are called consequences. The security officers moved to flank them. Caden's face crumpled suddenly, tears replacing rage. Please, Patty, he begged, using my childhood nickname. I'll lose the house. My car's already gone. I'll pay you back, I swear. With what money? I asked. The salary you inflated on your loan applications, the commissions you haven't earned, or Mom's enablement. That's enough, the security officer said firmly. You need to leave, now. As they were led away, Dad appeared in the doorway. He'd been so quiet I hadn't noticed him arrive. He looked at me, then at Mom and Caden being escorted out, and something seemed to break in his expression. The bank called, he said quietly. They found evidence of other fraudulent applications, going back years. I know, I replied. Jillian's been very thorough. Your mother? He hesitated. She always thought she was helping him. We both did. By stealing from me? No. He shook his head. That was wrong. I should have stopped it. I should have stopped a lot of things. For the first time since this started, I felt a crack in my armor. Why didn't you? Because it was easier to let your mother handle things, to let Caden be the golden child, to let you be the strong one. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. Here, bank statements from my personal account, the one your mother doesn't know about. It's not much, but it might help replace some of what they took. I stared at the envelope. Keep it. You'll need it when the fraud investigation freezes everything else. Patricia, no, Dad. You don't get to buy your way out of guilt. Not now. He nodded slowly, tucking the envelope away. For what it's worth, I'm sorry, and I'm proud of you. For standing up to us. A bit late for that, isn't it? He turned to leave, then paused. Your mother will never forgive you for this. Good, I said, turning back to my computer. Because I'll never forgive her either. After he left, Annabelle brought me a fresh coffee. You okay? My phone buzzed with a text from Caden. Mom's in the hospital. Collapsed after leaving your office. Hope you're satisfied. I showed Annabelle the message. They're still trying to manipulate me. Is it working? I thought about my empty savings account, about years of being the reliable one, about Mom's constant dismissal and Caden's entitled smile. No, I replied, archiving the message in my karma package folder. It's really not. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Aunt Linda, Uncle Robert, 3 cousins, and even my mother's bridge club friends, all calling to tell me what a horrible daughter I was. Did you hear what your mother texted everyone? Jillian asked, spreading case documents across her dining room table. She's claiming you orchestrated this whole thing to destroy your family. I pulled up Mom's group message. My heartless daughter has attacked our family. Her brother is losing everything. I'm in the hospital with stress-induced complications. Please pray for us in this difficult time. Watch this, I said, typing out a response to the group chat. I attached screenshots of Mom's text about removing herself from my account, bank statements showing the unauthorized withdrawal, Caden's loan applications with falsified income, and dated emails proving the premeditated fraud. My message was simple. Since we're sharing family stories, here's mine, with receipts. Brutal, Jillian nodded approvingly. How long until... My phone exploded with notifications. Then absolute silence. That's what I thought, I muttered, setting my phone face down. Amazing how quiet people get when faced with facts. Patricia, Jillian leaned forward, her expression serious. The bank's building a strong case for mortgage fraud. They're subpoenaing Zachariah tomorrow. Are you ready for this to get uglier? Uglier than my mother faking a hospital collapse? She faked it? I showed her another screenshot, a Facebook check-in from Mom at the tennis club, posted 2 hours after her supposed hospitalization. Jesus, Jillian muttered. Your family really doesn't do anything halfway, do they? My phone buzzed again. A text from Dad. Your mother's leaving the hospital. She's staying with your aunt. Says she can't handle the stress of seeing you. She's not in the hospital, I texted back. She's at tennis with Linda. No response. You know, Jillian said, sorting through more documents, revenge has a way of lingering beyond its usefulness. Are you sure you want to keep pushing? This isn't revenge, I replied, picking up a bank statement. This is justice. My phone lit up with a call from Zachariah. I put it on speaker. Patricia? His voice was shaking. Listen, about tomorrow's subpoena, what exactly am I supposed to say? The truth would be nice. But Caden's my friend, and your mom, she helped me get started in real estate. And now you can help them understand consequences, unless you'd prefer to be charged as an accomplice? Silence. Then, they're going to hate me. Welcome to the club. After hanging up, I checked my email. The bank had sent an update. Preliminary findings supported all fraud allegations. Formal charges were being considered. Your brother's going to need a good lawyer, Jillian observed. He should ask Mom to steal one for him. My phone buzzed with a text from Aunt Linda. How dare you air family business like this? Your mother raised you better. I typed back, no, she raised me to be quiet while she favored Caden. I raised myself to be better. Another message, this time from Uncle Robert. Your father's devastated. Is this what you wanted? I showed Jillian the messages. Funny how they're all concerned about my parents' feelings. Not one person has asked about my stolen savings. Family can be weird like that, she replied. They'll justify anything to maintain the status quo. My phone rang. Caden again. Against my better judgment, I answered. The bank's pressing charges, he said, his voice hollow. Criminal charges, Patricia. Do you understand what that means? That actions have consequences? I could go to jail over a little creative accounting. And theft, I added. Don't forget the theft. It wasn't. He stopped. Okay, you win. What do you want? An apology? Fine, I'm sorry. We're sorry. Just call off the investigation. It doesn't work like that, Caden. I can't just call off a federal fraud investigation. Then what was the point of all this? I thought about years of being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who always had to understand and forgive and give. The point was showing you that actions have consequences, even yours, even Mom's. You've destroyed this family, he whispered. No, I corrected him. You and Mom did that when you decided my savings were your property. I'm just making sure everyone knows the truth. After hanging up, I looked at Jillian. Still think this is about revenge? She smiled sadly. No, I think this is about something much more expensive than money. What's that? Self-respect. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from Mom. I hope you're happy with what you've done. I archived it without responding. Sometimes silence was the loudest revenge of all. The courtroom was quieter than I expected. Mom sat in the front row, clutching her designer handbag like a shield. Caden slumped beside his lawyer, looking nothing like the confident golden boy who'd stolen my savings 3 months ago. "The court finds in favor of the plaintiff," the judge announced, shuffling papers. "The unauthorized transfer of $92,000 is to be returned in full, with interest. Furthermore, given the evidence of mortgage fraud—" Mom made a small choking sound. Dad reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "Your Honor," Caden's lawyer stood up. "My client would like to propose a private settlement." "The time for private settlements has passed," the judge cut him off. "The evidence of deliberate fraud is substantial. Mr. Martin's testimony was quite illuminating." I glanced at Zachariah, sitting pale-faced in the back row. He'd sung like a canary once the fraud investigators started digging. "The property will be foreclosed," the judge continued. "All frozen assets will remain so pending criminal investigation. Court adjourned." As people started filing out, Mom rushed toward me. "Patricia, please. We can still fix this as a family." "Family?" I turned to face her. "Was it family when you emptied my account? When you helped Caden forge loan documents? Or is it only family when you need something from me?" "I'm your mother." "Exactly, which makes your betrayal even worse." Caden approached, his expensive suit now looking wrinkled and worn. "They're pressing criminal charges, Patty. Actual criminal charges. Is that what you wanted?" "What I wanted was my savings safe in my account. What I wanted was a mother who respected me. What I wanted was a brother who didn't think he was entitled to everything I worked for." "We can work something out," he pleaded. "Maybe if you talk to the bank." "The bank?" I laughed. "The bank that found evidence of your previous fraudulent loans? The ones Mom helped you get? That bank?" Dad stepped forward. "Patricia, don't," I cut him off. "Just don't. Your silence enabled all of this." "But we're still family," Mom insisted, grabbing my arm. "Blood is thicker than water." I pulled away. "Funny how that only applies when you need something from me." Jillian appeared at my side. "My client has nothing more to say. Please direct all future communication through my office." As we walked out of the courthouse, reporters were waiting. Mom pushed past them, mascara streaking her face. Caden ducked his head, ignoring questions about mortgage fraud. "How does it feel to win?" one reporter asked me. I paused. This wasn't about winning, it was about consequences. Back at my apartment, Annabelle was waiting with wine and takeout. "Heard the Golden Boy's moving back in with your parents," she said, pouring generous glasses. "Of course he is," I replied. "Where else would he go? He's never had to stand on his own feet." My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "Your mother's not eating. She says she'll never forgive you." "Good," I typed back. "I'll never forgive her either. Actions have consequences." Another buzz. "Aunt Linda, the whole neighborhood's talking about this. How could you humiliate your family like this?" I blocked her number. "You okay?" Annabelle asked, watching me. "Better than okay," I said, pulling out a piece of paper from my bag. "Look what came today." She read it. Notice of funds recovery, $92,000 plus interest to be deposited. "What are you going to do with it?" I smiled, pulling up a real estate listing on my phone. "Buy my own place, a small condo, no family loans, no creative accounting, no stolen money, just mine." My phone rang. Caden again. I let it go to voicemail. "He's been calling all day," I explained to Annabelle. "Apparently, the criminal investigation is finding more irregularities. Mom's implicated in some of his previous loans, too." "Are you going to help them?" I thought about years of being the reliable one, the responsible one, the one who always had to understand and forgive. "No," I said finally. "They made their choices. Now they can live with them." Later that night, as Annabelle left, she hugged me tight. "For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. Standing up to family is the hardest thing." I watched her leave, then went to my balcony. In the distance, I could see the neighborhood where Caden's foreclosed house stood empty. Mom's tennis club was somewhere over there, too, though she hadn't been seen there since the court date. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from Dad. Caden's meeting with criminal lawyers tomorrow. Your mother's asking if you'll help with the legal fees. I typed back, no, she can afford it. She has no kids to support, remember? Then I blocked his number too, opened my wine, and watched the sunset. Sometimes karma needed a little help, but once it got started, it did beautiful work. Welcome home, the realtor said, handing me the keys to my new condo. It's all yours. I stood in the empty living room, sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. My space, my life savings, recovered and reinvested in something that was completely mine. My phone buzzed. Jillian. Criminal charges filed against Caden today. Your mother's been named as co-conspirator in 3 previous fraudulent loans. I set my phone down without responding and unpacked a single wine glass from a box marked kitchen. The doorbell rang. Annabelle, carrying Chinese takeout and a bottle of champagne. First meal in the new place has to be special, she announced, setting everything on the floor since I hadn't bought furniture yet. No plates yet, I warned her. That's why I brought paper ones. She pulled them from her bag. Also, have you seen the neighborhood Facebook group? Your mom's been posting again. I pulled up the group on my phone. Mom's latest post was a masterpiece of manipulation. Pray for our family in these difficult times. Sometimes those we love most hurt us deepest. The comments are interesting, Annabelle noted. She was right. Instead of the usual sympathy, people were asking questions. Someone had linked to the court documents. Another mentioned Caden's previous fraudulent loans. The carefully crafted narrative was unraveling. The doorbell rang again. Jillian, this time, looking serious. Your father's downstairs, she said. Wants to talk. Should I send him away? I thought for a moment. No, let him up. Dad looked older than ever when he walked in, carrying a small box. Nice place, he said quietly, looking around. Better than Caden's was. Because I bought it, honestly, I replied. What do you want, Dad? He set the box down. Found these while packing up the house. Your old report cards, some photos. Thought you might want them. Packing up the house? He nodded. We're selling it. Your mother's legal fees. Well, they're substantial, and Caden's living with us now, so... Still enabling them both, I see. No, he said firmly. I'm leaving your mother. Filed the papers yesterday. The champagne glass nearly slipped from my hand. What? Should have done it years ago. Should have stopped her when she took your money. Should have done a lot of things differently. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. This too, it's not much, but it's what I managed to save without her knowing. I didn't take it. Keep it. You'll need it. Patricia, his voice cracked. I failed you. I watched her favor Caden, watched her steal from you, watched her destroy this family, and I said nothing. I'm sorry. The silence stretched between us, filled with decades of unspoken words. Why now? I finally asked. Because you were brave enough to stand up to them, and I realized I never was. My phone buzzed, a news alert about Caden's criminal charges. Dad saw it, too. He's not taking it well, Dad said. Keeps saying you destroyed the family. No, I corrected him. Mom's favoritism destroyed the family. Caden's entitlement destroyed the family. My savings just paid for the demolition. He nodded slowly. Your mother wants to meet, to explain her side. There is no her side to theft and fraud. That's what I told her. He turned to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. Not just for standing up to them, but for building your own life, for being better than all of us. After he left, Annabelle poured more champagne. You okay? Better than okay, I replied, looking around my empty condo. I'm free. My phone buzzed one last time. Mom. Your father's abandoned me, just like you did. I hope you're satisfied with destroying this family. I showed the message to Jillian and Annabelle. Still trying to manipulate you? Jillian observed. Still not working, I replied, blocking Mom's number permanently. We sat on the floor of my empty condo, eating Chinese food from paper plates, drinking champagne from the only wine glass I owned, and I felt lighter than I had in years. To karma, Annabelle raised her paper cup. To consequences, Jillian added. To me, I said quietly, looking out at the city lights. To finally choosing myself. The sun set over my new beginning, painting the empty walls with golden light. Tomorrow I'd buy furniture, hang artwork, make this space my own. But tonight, sitting here with real friends who supported my strength instead of family who exploited my loyalty, I was already home. My phone lay silent, Mom and Caden's numbers blocked, their drama finally muted. Sometimes the happiest ending isn't about forgiveness or reconciliation. Sometimes it's about walking away and building something better from the ashes of what they burned.
I always knew my sister would try to ruin my life. I just didn't expect her to succeed quite so spectacularly. My name is Emery, and I've spent 19 years being the family disappointment. Not because I've done anything wrong, mind you. My crime was simply being born second, after my perfect sister Savannah. Emmy, honey, could you help set the table? Mum called from the kitchen. Savannah's studying for her business exam. I glanced over at my sister sprawled on the couch, definitely not studying as she scrolled through Instagram. She caught my eye and smirked. Sure, Mum, I replied, forcing a smile. Just another typical Tuesday night. As I laid out the plates, I could hear Mom gushing to Dad about Savannah's latest accomplishment, making the dean's list again. Never mind that I'd made it too. Somehow that detail had gotten lost in the excitement. Did you see the photos from Savannah's business leadership conference? Mum continued. She looked so professional in that blazer, already a little CEO in the making. I nearly dropped a glass, remembering how Mum had refused to buy me a blazer for my own presentation last semester. You'll hardly use it, she'd said. Besides, Savannah needs new volleyball gear. Hey, Squirt, Savannah called out, finally deigning to acknowledge my existence. Roy texted me about this amazing party this weekend. You're coming, right? I perked up at the mention of my boyfriend. He didn't tell me about any party. Oh, she examined her perfect manicure. Must have slipped his mind. You know how boys are. Something in her tone made my stomach clench, but before I could reply, Mum swooped in. Savannah, darling, tell Dad about that internship offer you got. I retreated to my room after dinner, pulling out the secret folder hidden under my mattress. Inside was my nearly completed application for the Preston Foundation Scholarship. A full ride to my dream school, 3,000 miles away from here. My phone buzzed with a text from Krista. How's Operation Escape Plan going? I smiled, typing back. Almost done. Just need Prof. Mitchell to review my final essay tomorrow. Krista was the only one who knew about my scholarship application. Well, her and Professor Mitchell, my faculty mentor, who'd been helping me prepare for months. He was the first person who'd ever looked at me and seen potential, instead of just Savannah's less impressive little sister. You have a brilliant mind, Emery, he told me after class one day. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. A knock at my door made me quickly shove the folder away. Come in. Dad poked his head in. Hey, kiddo. Good day. I shrugged. Same as usual. He lingered awkwardly in the doorway. Listen, your mother and I were talking. Savannah's internship is unpaid, so we might need to dip into your college fund to help her with living expenses. The familiar ache bloomed in my chest. But Dad, that money was for... I know, sweetheart, but this is a huge opportunity for your sister. You understand, right? I forced myself to nod. Of course I understood. I always understood. After he left, I pulled out my phone and opened the photo gallery. There was a picture from last month. Me and Roy at the pier, his arms around me, both of us laughing. I zoomed in on his face, studying his warm brown eyes, trying to ignore the gnawing doubt in my gut. My sister's words echoed in my head. Must have slipped his mind. Nothing ever just slipped with Savannah. Every word, every action was calculated for maximum impact. I'd learned that lesson the hard way over the years, but this time would be different. In my darkest moments, That scholarship application was my secret weapon. Proof that I wasn't who they thought I was. That I could be more than just Savannah's shadow. Another text from Krista lit up my screen. Remember, you're stronger than they know. Don't let them dim your light. I touched the folder under my mattress like a talisman. Soon, I told myself, soon they'd all see what I was capable of. And maybe, just maybe, that knowledge would be the sweetest revenge of all. But first, I had to survive whatever game Savannah was playing with Roy, because if there's one thing I knew about my sister, it's that she never could resist taking what was mine, just to prove that she could. The truth hit me like a slap to the face on a rainy Thursday afternoon. I was walking to my car after my meeting with Professor Mitchell when I saw them. Roy and Savannah tucked into a corner of the campus coffee shop. His hand was on her knee. She was laughing that practiced laugh of hers, the one she used when she wanted something. My feet carried me through the door before my brain could catch up. The little bell chimed, and they both looked up. Roy jerked his hand away like he'd been burned. "Emery," his voice cracked, "I thought you had class." "Office hours with Professor Mitchell," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "Working on that project I told you about. Remember, the one you said was a waste of time?" Savannah's lips curved into that familiar smirk. "Oh, Emmy, we were just going to tell you." "Tell me what?" But I already knew. God, I'd known for weeks, hadn't I? I just hadn't wanted to believe it. "Roy and we've been spending time together." She reached for his hand. He let her take it, though he couldn't meet my eyes. "These things just happen sometimes. You can't help who you fall for." The coffee shop suddenly felt too small, too hot. "How long?" "Does it matter?" Savannah's voice dripped with fake sympathy. "The point is, Roy and I have a real connection. Don't we, baby?" Roy shifted uncomfortably. "Emery, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for—" "Save it." I turned to leave, then stopped. Looked back at my sister. "You know what's funny? You don't even want him. You just couldn't stand that for once. Someone chose me first." Her perfect mask slipped for just a second. "You don't know what I want." "Actually, I do. You want what you've always wanted, to prove you're better than me. Congratulations. Mission accomplished." I walked out into the rain, ignoring Roy calling my name. My phone buzzed. "Krista." "Where are you?" she demanded when I answered. "I just saw your sister's Snapchat story. That absolute witch." "Coffee shop. Well, leaving it now." I fumbled with my car keys, hands shaking. "Want to help me commit a murder?" "Better idea. Come to my house. Mom made tamales." 20 minutes later, I was on Krista's bedroom floor, surrounded by comfort food and tissues. I should have seen it coming, I said, picking at a tamale. The party invitation, the weird texts, the way she kept finding reasons to mention him. "None of this is your fault." Krista's dark eyes flashed with anger. "Your sister is toxic, and Roy is a coward." My phone buzzed again, Roy calling for the third time. I declined it. "You know what the worst part is?" I said. "Tomorrow at dinner, she'll tell some twisted version of the story that makes her the hero, and they'll believe her. They always do." "Then don't give her the satisfaction." Krista sat up straighter. "How close are you to finishing that scholarship application?" "Almost done. Professor Mitchell thinks I have a real shot." "Then focus on that. Let them all think whatever they want about poor, pathetic Emery. While they're busy underestimating you, you'll be planning your escape." I pulled out my phone and opened the draft of my application essay. The words blurred through my tears, but they were there. My ticket out. "You're right." I wiped my eyes. "I'm not letting her win. Not this time." My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Savannah says you made a scene at the coffee shop. We need to talk when you get home." Krista read it over my shoulder and snorted. "Of course she already told them." "Want me to come with you?" I shook my head. "No, I need to handle this myself." When I got home, they were waiting, Mom, Dad, and Savannah, arranged like a tribunal in the living room. "Your sister is very upset," Mom began. "Really?" I laughed, and it sounded strange even to my ears. "Savannah's upset? That's rich." Now, Emmy, Dad tried to intervene. These situations are complicated. No, they're really not. I looked directly at Savannah. You wanted to hurt me. Mission accomplished. But you know what? Keep him. Keep all of it. I'm done playing your games. I turned and walked upstairs, ignoring Mum's calls to come back. In my room, I pulled out my scholarship folder and started typing. The words flowed easier now, fueled by anger and determination. My phone lit up with a text from Professor Mitchell. How's that final draft coming along? I smiled through my tears and replied, almost ready. And Professor, thank you for believing in me. Because that's what Savannah didn't understand. She could take Roy, she could take my parents' attention, but she couldn't take this. My chance at something bigger than her games, bigger than all of us. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of late nights and coffee-fueled study sessions. I threw myself into finalizing my scholarship application, barely leaving my room except for classes and meetings with Professor Mitchell. This is exceptional work, Emery, he said, reviewing my final essay draft. Your analysis of sustainable urban development is graduate-level quality. I straightened in my chair. Really? He nodded, making a few notes in the margin. The Preston Foundation would be foolish not to select you. Have you told your family yet? No. I fiddled with my pen. They're distracted. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Don't forget, family dinner tonight. Savannah has big news. Professor Mitchell caught my expression. Everything all right at home? Just the usual family drama. I forced a smile. Nothing I can't handle. He leaned back in his chair, studying me. You know, Emery, I've taught thousands of students over the years. The ones who succeed aren't always the ones with the most support. They're the ones who refuse to let others define their worth. Is that your way of telling me to keep my chin up? That's my way of telling you that you're stronger than you realize. He handed back my essay. Make these final revisions and submit it. Then start planning what you'll pack for California. Walking home, I ran into Krista outside our favorite diner. Perfect timing. She grabbed my arm. I'm buying you lunch and you're telling me everything about the scholarship. Over burgers and fries, I showed her the essay. This is amazing, she said, flipping through the pages. But what about tonight's dinner? Are you ready for that? I stole one of her fries. As ready as I'll ever be. Mom's been hinting all week about Savannah's wonderful surprise. $20 says she's going to announce she's moving in with Roy. My stomach lurched. Thanks for that mental image. Sorry. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Want me to come over after? We can watch bad movies and plot your sister's downfall. Can't. Need to finish these revisions and submit everything tonight. The deadline's tomorrow. Back home, I could hear excited voices from the kitchen as I slipped upstairs. Mom was teaching Savannah her secret lasagna recipe, the one she'd always been too busy to teach me. Emmy, Mom called out. Is that you? Come help us prepare for dinner. Can't, I shouted back. Studying. I closed my door and pulled out my laptop. 3 hours until dinner. 3 hours to perfect every word, every comma. 3 hours until whatever bomb Savannah was planning to drop. My phone buzzed, Roy calling again. I'd blocked his number after the coffee shop, but he'd started using different phones. I declined the call. At exactly 6, Mum's voice rang through the house. Dinner's ready. I saved my final draft and took a deep breath. Showtime. The dining room was decorated like Christmas had come early. Mum's best tablecloth, the fancy wine glasses, even candles. Finally, Savannah beamed from her seat next to Roy. Wait, Roy? We've been waiting for you. Mom was practically vibrating with excitement. Dad looked uncomfortable, as usual. What's he doing here? I asked, my voice flat. Now, Emmy, Mom started. This is a special family dinner. We have an announcement. Savannah thrust out her left hand, something sparkling on her ring finger. Roy proposed. The room spun slightly. I gripped the back of my chair. Isn't it wonderful? Mom gushed. And the timing is perfect. Roy's family owns that apartment complex near campus, so they can live there while Savannah finishes school. Roy finally spoke, his voice quiet. Emery, I know this is sudden. Sudden? I laughed. It's been what, 2 weeks since you were my boyfriend? Emmy, Mum's voice sharpened. Don't ruin your sister's moment. Of course not. I sat down, my laptop bag heavy against my leg. Heaven forbid anyone ruin Savannah's moment. I know this is hard, Savannah said, her voice dripping honey, but I hope you'll be my maid of honor. After all, you're my only sister. The room went quiet, waiting for my response. I looked at my sister's triumphant smile, at Roy's guilty face, at Mom's pleading eyes, at Dad's studied neutrality. My phone buzzed. A text from Professor Mitchell. Don't forget, midnight deadline. You've got this. I smiled, and Savannah's expression flickered with uncertainty. Actually, I said, reaching for my laptop bag, I have an announcement of my own. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's showing them exactly what they underestimated. An announcement? Savannah's smile turned brittle. Emmy, we're kind of in the middle of celebrating. Oh, this won't take long. I pulled out my laptop, hand steady despite my racing heart. I just need to submit something first. Now isn't the time for homework, Mum sighed. Your sister just got engaged. Actually, I opened my email, clicked send on my completed application. This is perfect timing. While Savannah's been busy stealing my boyfriend, I've been working on something too. The confirmation email pinged instantly. Done. No taking it back now. What are you talking about? Savannah's voice had lost its sugary sweetness. I turned my laptop around, showing them the Preston Foundation's webpage. I've been working with Professor Mitchell for months on a scholarship application, full ride to Berkeley's urban planning program. The silence was deafening. Dad was the first to speak. Berkeley? In California? That's right. I met his eyes. 3,000 miles away. But... Mom looked confused. But what about staying local? We talked about this. The community college has perfectly good programs. No, Mom. You and Savannah talked about that. I had different plans. Savannah laughed, but it sounded forced. Please, like you'll actually get it. Do you know how competitive those scholarships are? Very. I pulled up another email, the one I'd received that morning. That's why Professor Mitchell had me apply early. They fast-tracked my application based on my research proposal. What research proposal? Mom demanded. The one I've been working on all year. The one none of you asked about. I turned the screen again. I got the preliminary acceptance this morning. Full scholarship, pending final submission, which I just sent. Roy spoke up, surprising everyone. That's actually amazing, Emery. Don't encourage her, Savannah snapped. She's just trying to steal attention from our engagement. I closed my laptop. Funny, that sounds familiar. Except I didn't have to steal anyone's boyfriend to do it. Girls, Dad raised his voice. That's enough. You're right, it is enough. I stood up. Congratulations on your engagement. I'm sure you'll be very happy together. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to call Professor Mitchell. Sit down, Mom's voice cracked like a whip. You are not moving to California. Actually, I am. I've already accepted the preliminary offer. With what money? Savannah smirked. Your college fund went to my internship, remember? I know. That's why I got a full scholarship. Tuition, housing, everything. I shouldered my laptop bag. You can't stop me this time, Savannah. She stood up so fast her chair toppled backward. This is ridiculous. Mom, tell her she can't go. But Mom was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. All this time, you were planning this? Someone had to believe in me. I felt tears threatening, but forced them back. Since it clearly wasn't going to be my family. My phone buzzed. Krista. Did you submit it? Tell me everything. Emmy, please, Dad started. Let's discuss this rationally. There's nothing to discuss. I'm going. I headed for the stairs, then turned back. Oh, and Savannah, about being your maid of honor. Hard pass. I made it to my room before the shouting started. Savannah's shrill voice carried through the floor, something about me being selfish and attention-seeking. Mom's responses were quieter but just as heated. My phone rang. Professor Mitchell. "It's done," I said, answering. "I submitted everything." "Excellent." I could hear the smile in his voice. "How did your family take the news?" "About as well as expected. There's currently a nuclear meltdown happening in my dining room." "Give them time. Success is the best revenge, Emery, and you're going to be very successful." A knock at my door. "Dad." "I have to go," I told Professor Mitchell. "Thank you for everything." Dad didn't wait for an invitation before entering. He looked tired. "Your mother is upset," he said. I noticed. He sat on my bed, shoulders slumped. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Would it have mattered? Everything's always about Savannah." "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" I turned to face him. "Name one thing in the past year that was about me. One time you chose me first." He opened his mouth, then closed it. "Exactly." I wiped away a stray tear. "I'm going to Berkeley, Dad. I earned this. For once in my life, I did something that was just for me. And neither you nor Mom nor Savannah gets to take that away." Downstairs, something shattered. Probably one of Mum's precious wine glasses. Dad winced. "I should go deal with that." He paused at the door. "For what it's worth, I'm proud of you, Emmy." But I noticed he couldn't quite meet my eyes when he said it. The next morning, Mom acted like nothing had happened. She was making pancakes, Savannah's favorite, when I came downstairs. "Emmy, perfect timing. I invited Roy's parents over for dinner tonight. We need to discuss wedding plans." I grabbed an apple instead. "I have plans with Krista." "Cancel them." She flipped a pancake with unnecessary force. "This is important family time." "No, it's important Savannah time. There's a difference." The front door opened, and Savannah breezed in, already dressed for success in one of her designer outfits. "Morning, family. Roy's mom is so excited about dinner. She's bringing their wedding planner." I bit into my apple. "Have fun with that." "Actually," Savannah's smile turned predatory, "I need you here. We're discussing the bridal party, and since you're being difficult about being maid of honor, still a hard pass." "Girls," Mom warned, "not this morning." My phone buzzed. "Professor Mitchell." "Good news. Committee wants to meet you today, 4 p.m. "I have to go," I announced, grabbing my keys. "Meeting at school." "With that professor again?" Savannah rolled her eyes. "Mom, don't you think it's weird how much time she spends with him?" "What's that supposed to mean?" I spun around. "Nothing." She examined her perfect manicure. "Just saying it's convenient that he's helping you so much makes you wonder what else is going on." The implication hit me like a slap. "You disgusting!" "Savannah!" Mom looked shocked. "That's completely inappropriate." "Is it? She suddenly gets this amazing opportunity, and none of us have even met this professor." I was across the room before I realized I was moving. Don't you dare try to cheapen this just because you can't stand that I achieved something without you." "Girls," Mum stepped between us, "that's enough. Savannah, apologize to your sister." "Why should I? She's the one ruining everything. First my engagement dinner, now the wedding planning." "No," I cut in. "You don't get to play victim here. Not after what you did with Roy." "Roy chose me." She was practically screaming now. "He chose me because I'm better. I've always been better." The kitchen fell silent. Even Mom looked stunned. "There it is." I felt oddly calm. "The real Savannah, ladies and gentlemen." My phone buzzed again. "Krista. Outside. Get in, loser, we're going shopping." "I'm done here." I headed for the door. "Have fun with your wedding planning." "Emmy, wait," Mom called after me. But I was already out the door, sliding into Krista's car. "You look like you need coffee," she said, pulling away from the curb, "and possibly bail money. Just drive." At our favorite coffee shop, not the one where I'd caught Roy and Savannah, Krista listened as I recounted the morning's events. She said, "What about Professor Mitchell?" Krista's face darkened. "That's low, even for her. She's desperate." I stirred my latte. She can't stand that I'm leaving, that I'm doing something she can't control or overshadow. Speaking of which, Krista grinned, check your email. I pulled out my phone. There it was, official confirmation of my meeting with the scholarship committee. They fast-tracked everything after Professor Mitchell submitted his recommendation, I said, scanning the email. They want to meet the promising young urban planning scholar in person. See, while your sister's planning her rushed revenge wedding, you're planning your future. Krista raised her cup. To Karma. My phone lit up with texts from Mom. Please come home. We need to talk about this. Your sister is upset. The wedding planner needs your measurements. I turned my phone off. Want to help me pick out an outfit for the committee meeting? I asked Krista. Something that says, future urban planning genius who's definitely not sleeping with her professor. Girl, you know I do. She stood up. Let's make you look so professional that even Savannah can't find anything to criticize. 3 hours later, I had a new blazer, purchased with my own money from my part-time job, and it was time to meet the committee. Professor Mitchell was waiting outside the conference room. Ready? I smoothed my blazer. As I'll ever be. Remember, you earned this. Everything in that application is your work, your ideas, your talent. He smiled. They're going to love you. I thought of Savannah at home, probably trying on wedding dresses and playing the perfect daughter. For once, I didn't feel jealous or angry or hurt. I felt free. Let's do this, I said, and opened the door to my future. The scholarship committee meeting went better than I could have imagined. By the time I got home, clutching my official acceptance letter, the house was full of wedding planning chaos. There she is, Roy's mother exclaimed as I walked in. We were just talking about bridesmaid dresses. I took in the scene. Fabric swatches everywhere, wedding magazines spread across every surface. Mom and Savannah huddled with an elegant woman who must be the wedding planner. Roy sat awkwardly on the couch, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Actually, I held up my letter, I have news. Emmy, Mum's voice held a warning. Not now. Yes, now. I stepped into the center of the room. I just met with the Preston Foundation Committee. I got the scholarship, full ride, starting next semester. The wedding planner looked confused. Oh, how lovely. Will you be able to attend classes between wedding duties? I'll be in California, I said clearly. Berkeley, specifically. Roy's mother gasped. Berkeley? That's wonderful. Roy applied there for undergrad, but didn't get in. Savannah's head snapped up. Mother, we're discussing my wedding. Of course, dear, but this is exciting news. A full scholarship to Berkeley. It's not that impressive, Savannah cut in. They probably needed to fill a quota or something. The room went silent. Even the wedding planner looked uncomfortable. Actually, I pulled out the committee's detailed acceptance letter. They were particularly impressed by my research proposal on sustainable urban development in low-income communities. Would you like to hear what they said, Savannah? She stood up, face flushed. This is my wedding planning session, my day. Why do you always have to... Always have to what? I interrupted. Achieve something? Have goals that don't revolve around you? Girls, Dad warned from his corner. No, let her finish. I turned to face my sister fully. Tell everyone how it bothers you that for once, just once, the spotlight isn't on you. You're just jealous because Roy chose me. Savannah's voice rose hysterically. Because he saw what everyone sees, that you're nothing but a pale imitation of me. Roy stood up suddenly. Savannah, stop. What? She whirled on him. This is wrong. He looked at me. All of it. I never should have. Roy, Savannah's voice turned sugary sweet. Darling, you're upset. Emmy's obviously trying to manipulate. Like you manipulated me. He stepped away from her. You spent months telling me how Emery was using me, how she was seeing other guys, how she laughed about me behind my back. But she wasn't, was she? That was all you. The wedding planner began quietly gathering her things. I think, Roy's mother said stiffly, we should continue this another time. No. Savannah grabbed Roy's arm. Tell them you love me. Tell them how happy we are." He gently but firmly removed her hand. "I don't even know who you are anymore." As Roy and his mother left, the silence in the room was deafening. The wedding planner made a hasty exit, leaving just our family. "Well," Mom said shakily, "I'm sure once everyone calms down." "Are you serious?" I stared at her. "After what just happened, that's what you have to say?" "Your sister is upset." "I'm upset." I slammed my acceptance letter down on the coffee table. "I've been upset for years, but nobody ever noticed because poor, perfect Savannah needed all the attention." "That's not true," Dad started. "Really?" I turned to him. "Then why did my college fund go to her unpaid internship? Why does Mom still have the receipt for Savannah's prom dress but couldn't be bothered to come to my honors ceremony? Why does everything always have to be about her?" Savannah had sunk onto the couch, mascara running down her face. For the first time in my life, she looked small. "I worked for this," I said, picking up my acceptance letter. "I earned this, and I'm going, whether you support me or not." "Emmy," Mum reached for me, but I stepped back. "I'm going to Krista's. I need some air." I headed for the door, then turned back. "Oh, and Savannah, I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for, because it was never about Roy, was it? It was about making sure I couldn't have anything that was just mine." As I walked out, I heard her start to cry, real tears this time, not the fake ones she was so good at. But for once, I didn't feel guilty. My phone buzzed. "Krista, how'd it go?" I texted back, "Nuclear explosion, coming over, bring ice cream." Because sometimes the truth hurts, but hiding from it hurts more. And I was done hiding. I spent 3 days at Krista's before Mom's texts became impossible to ignore. "Please come home, we need to talk." Walking into our house felt like entering a war zone. Wedding magazines still littered every surface, but they were wrinkled now, some torn, like someone had thrown them in anger. "Emmy?" Mom appeared from the kitchen, looking exhausted. "Thank God, we've been so worried." "I told you I was at Krista's." "Savannah's locked herself in her room," Mom continued as if I hadn't spoken. "She won't eat, won't talk to anyone. Roy isn't answering her calls. That's not my problem. She's your sister. Is she?" I dropped my bag on the floor, because from where I'm standing, she's been more like my tormentor. Dad emerged from his study. "Emmy, please, she's hurting." And I wasn't. When she deliberately went after my boyfriend, when she tried to ruin my scholarship by implying I was sleeping with my professor. I didn't mean it. We all turned. Savannah stood at the top of the stairs, looking nothing like her usual perfect self. Her hair was unwashed, her eyes puffy from crying. "Of course you meant it," I said. "You meant everything you've ever done to hurt me." She came down slowly, like each step was painful. I couldn't stand it. "Couldn't stand what?" "That you were leaving," her voice cracked. "That you had this whole plan, this whole future that didn't include me, that I couldn't control. Do you even hear yourself?" I stepped closer. "Control? That's what this has always been about, hasn't it? Controlling me, controlling how everyone sees me." "Girls," Mom tried to intervene. "No, let her answer," I insisted. "Why, Savannah? Why wasn't it enough to be the favorite? Why did you have to take everything?" "Because I'm nothing without it," she screamed, then covered her mouth like she was shocked by her own words. The room went silent. "What are you talking about?" Dad asked quietly. Savannah sank onto the bottom step. "Everyone loves the perfect daughter, right? The pretty one, the successful one. But what happens when it's not enough anymore? When your little sister is smarter, more driven, more real?" "That's ridiculous," I started, but she cut me off. "Is it? You got into Berkeley on your own merit. Everything I have, everything I am, is because Mum and Dad gave it to me. Even Roy. I only went after him because I couldn't stand that he chose you first." Mum made a choked sound. "That's messed up," I said flatly. "I know." Savannah looked up, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "I know it is, but I don't know how to be anything else anymore." "So get therapy," I suggested, but stop using me as your emotional punching bag. Emmy, Mom sounded scandalized. No, she's right. Savannah wiped her eyes. I need help. I've needed help for a long time. Dad sat down heavily in his armchair. Why didn't you tell us you were feeling this way? Because you both made it so easy. Savannah's laugh was bitter. Every time I acted out, you enabled me. Every time I hurt Emmy, you made excuses. I could do no wrong, and it made everything worse. Mum started crying. Dad looked like someone had punched him. Well, I picked up my bag. This has been enlightening, but I have apartment listings to look at for Berkeley. Emmy, wait. Savannah stood up. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm sorry. For everything. For Roy. For the professor thing. For all of it. I studied her face. The genuine pain there. The fear. The desperation. You're right, I said finally. You don't deserve forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe someday. I'll do better, she whispered. I promise. Don't promise me. Prove it. Get help. Figure out who you are without comparing yourself to me. And maybe, when I come home for Christmas break, we can talk. Mom stepped forward. Emmy, about Berkeley. I'm going, I said firmly. That's not up for discussion. I know. She took a shaky breath. I was going to say, we'll help you move in, if you want. Dad nodded. We should have supported you from the start. We failed you both, in different ways. I looked at my family. Really looked at them. Mom's tired face. Dad's guilty eyes. Savannah's broken expression. We were all damaged, all hurting in our own ways. Okay, I said finally, but things have to change. All of us. Savannah nodded, wiping fresh tears. They will. My phone buzzed. Professor Mitchell checking in about housing options. I have to go, I said. I have a meeting about student housing. As I walked out, I heard Savannah ask Mom about therapy recommendations. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but maybe it was a start. Moving day arrived with a mix of nervous energy and cautious hope. My small collection of boxes looked almost pitiful next to the mountain of dorm supplies Mom had insisted on buying. You don't have to help, I told her as she folded another blanket. Krista and I can handle it. I want to. She smoothed the fabric with shaking hands. Emmy, I've been thinking about what you said, about always choosing Savannah. Mom, we don't have to. Yes, we do. She set down the blanket. I was so focused on making Savannah feel special that I forgot you needed that too. I'm sorry. A knock at my door interrupted us. Savannah stood there, looking uncertain. Can I come in? I nodded. She'd started therapy 2 weeks ago, and while it wasn't magical fix, something had shifted between us. I have something for you. She held out a small package. For your dorm room. Inside was a framed photo, not of our family, but of me and Krista at graduation, both of us laughing at something off camera. I noticed you don't have many photos of yourself, Savannah said quietly, because I was always... Anyway, Krista helped me find this one. You look happy. Real. Thank you, I managed. Roy called yesterday, she added. He wanted to know if you'd changed your number. What did you tell him? That he lost the right to know anything about you when he chose to be part of my game. She twisted her hands together. I told him to leave us both alone. Mom looked between us, tears in her eyes. Don't cry, Mom, I said. I'm only moving to California, not Mars. I know. She wiped her eyes. It's just... My girls are growing up. A car horn honked outside. Krista and Dad with the rental truck. Ready? Krista bounded up the stairs. Oh, family moment. I can come back. No, stay. I grabbed her hand. Your family, too. We formed a strange convoy heading west. Dad and Mom in their car. Krista and me in the rental truck. My entire life packed between us. At the California state line, we stopped at a rest area. Professor Mitchell had texted. My research grant proposal was approved. I'd be starting work as soon as classes began. I'm proud of you, Dad said, reading the text over my shoulder. I should have said that more. Thanks, Dad, Savannah called as we neared Berkeley. Did you get there yet? Almost. Nervous? Shouldn't I be asking you that? She paused. My therapist thinks I should take a break from dating. Focus on figuring out who I am without using other people as mirrors. That sounds smart. Yeah. Another pause. Hey, Emmy, I know I don't deserve it, but maybe we could video chat sometimes. Not a lot, just I'd like to hear about your classes, if you want to tell me. I watched the Berkeley campus appear on the horizon. Maybe. Let's start slow. My dorm room was small but bright, with a view of the bay. As we unpacked, Mum kept finding excuses to rearrange things, to stay just a little longer. Mum, I finally said, I'll be okay. She pulled me into a fierce hug. I know you will. You always have been. Strong, Dad added, like your mother. Krista was the last to leave, after helping me arrange my desk just right. Sure you don't want me to stay? She asked. I could defer for a semester. No way. NYU is waiting for you. I hugged her tight. Besides, Christmas break isn't that far away. After everyone left, I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. The Preston Foundation website was still bookmarked, the scholarship that had changed everything. My phone buzzed with a group text from Mum. Room looks beautiful. Call when you're settled. Then Savannah. Found my old notes from freshman year. They're yours if you want them. Probably terrible advice, though. And Krista. Missing you already. NYU won't know what hit it. Finally, Professor Mitchell. Ready to change the world? I looked around my new room, at the photo Savannah had given me, at the city light starting to twinkle outside my window. For the first time in my life, I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I texted back, ready, because sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. Sometimes it's about getting free. Free to be yourself, free to make mistakes, free to forgive, not because someone deserves it, but because you deserve peace. I opened my course schedule and started reading. Tomorrow, my real life would begin, and I was ready for every single page of it.
The intervention blindsided me on a regular Tuesday morning. I was reviewing quarterly reports in my office when they filed in like a funeral procession. My sister Francesca leading the charge, followed by our mother, my stepfather Tony, and Mitchell, our CEO. My name is Valentina, and that was the day my sister stole my life. Val, we need to talk, Francesca said, her voice dripping with rehearsed concern. She perched herself on the edge of my desk while the others formed a semicircle around me. We're worried about you. I laughed, thinking it was some kind of joke. Worried? About what? Mom stepped forward, tears already forming in her eyes. Sweetheart, we've noticed changes in your behavior. The late nights, the erratic decisions, the mood swings. I've been working overtime on the Miller account, I said, my stomach tightening. You know that, Francesca. You're on the same project. Found these in your desk drawer, Francesca announced, producing an orange prescription bottle I'd never seen before. Oxycodone, Val? Really? My blood ran cold. That's not mine. I've never seen that before in my life. Classic denial, Tony muttered, shaking his head. Just like my brother before we lost him. I'm not in denial. Francesca, tell them. You know I don't take drugs. I stood up, my chair rolling back against the wall. This is insane. Mitchell cleared his throat. The board has agreed to a temporary leave of absence while you seek treatment. We've already arranged everything with Pine Grove Recovery Center. The board? When was this discussed? I own 30% of this company. My voice was rising, which I knew made me sound exactly like someone having a breakdown. Francesca, what did you do? I'm trying to save your life, she said, reaching for my hand. I yanked it away. The power of attorney paperwork is already filed. I'll manage your shares until you're better. Power of attorney? The room started spinning. Mom, you can't believe this. Please. Mom was sobbing now. We just want our Val back. 2 security guards appeared in the doorway. My doorway to my office in my company. This is a setup, I said, my voice shaking. Francesca's lying. Search my office, search my house, drug test me right now. I'll prove it. The car's waiting downstairs, Francesca said softly. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I looked at each face in turn. Mom's tear-stained desperation, Tony's righteous judgment, Mitchell's professional detachment, and Francesca's perfect mask of concern. The prescription bottle sat on my desk like a smoking gun. You'll regret this, I said, locking eyes with my sister. I swear to God, Francesca, you'll regret this day for the rest of your life. See? Francesca turned to the others. Paranoid aggression, classic symptom. The security guard stepped forward. One reached for my arm. Don't touch me, I snapped. I can walk myself out. I grabbed my purse, leaving everything else behind. My family watched in silence as I walked past them, head held high despite the humiliation burning through my chest. Employees peeked over their cubicle walls, pretending not to stare as I was escorted to the elevator. In the parking garage, a black SUV waited with Pine Grove Recovery Center printed on the side. The driver opened the back door. Ms. Perry, I'm David from Pine Grove. We'll take good care of you. I paused before getting in, turning to look at Francesca, who had followed us down. You planted those pills, didn't you? She stepped closer, dropping her voice. Prove it, little sister. Oh, wait, you'll be too busy in rehab. Why? I whispered. We're family. Family? She smiled, and for a moment, I saw the real Francesca. Family is business, Val, and business is about winning. I got into the SUV, my mind already racing. Francesca thought she'd won, thought she'd broken me, but she'd made a crucial mistake. She'd left me alive, with nothing left to lose. As we pulled away from the office building, I made myself a promise. This wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning. I'd play the good little addict, jump through their hoops, make them all believe I was properly chastised and reformed. And then, when they least expected it, I'd take back everything that was mine and make sure Francesca lost everything that was hers. The SUV turned onto the highway, carrying me toward Pine Grove, toward exile, toward revenge. Game on, sister. Game on. Pine Grove wasn't what I expected. Instead of the prison-like facility I'd imagined, I found myself in what looked like an upscale resort, complete with meditation gardens and a state-of-the-art gym. My room even had a view of the mountains. It was almost nice enough to make me forget I was here against my will. Almost. How are you settling in? Dr. Sarah, my assigned therapist, asked during our first session. She had kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude I found myself respecting despite my situation. Wonderfully, I replied, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Love what you've done with the place. Very 5-star imprisonment. She didn't take the bait. Your intake forms say you're here for oxycodone dependency, but your drug tests came back negative. Want to talk about that? Finally, someone with a brain. I leaned forward. I was set up. My sister planted those pills to take control of my shares in our family business. That's quite an accusation. It's quite a truth. I stood up and paced the room. But you probably think I'm in denial, right? That's what they all say? What I think doesn't matter, she said, watching me carefully. What matters is how you use your time here. I stopped pacing. What do you mean? You're here for 90 days, Valentina. That's a fact. Whether you were set up or not, you have 2 choices. Waste this time being angry or use it to your advantage. Her words hit home. She was right. I was stuck here regardless. Might as well make it count. What would you suggest? I asked, sitting back down. We offer business courses through our partnership with local colleges. Legal workshops, too. Many of our guests find them enlightening. I caught her subtle smile and understood. She believed me. The next few weeks passed in a blur of activity. I threw myself into every course available, from corporate law to financial management. During group therapy, I played the role of the recovering addict perfectly, sharing manufactured stories of my struggle, while secretly taking notes on manipulation techniques from our counselors. One morning, while I was studying in the library, Kendra, one of the staff members I'd grown close to, dropped an envelope on my table. "This came for you," she whispered. "I didn't log it in the system." Inside was a letter from Jasper, my old college friend, who'd gone on to become a successful tech entrepreneur. We hadn't spoken in years. Val, it read, news travels fast. I know you're not an addict. You were too straight edge in college to even take aspirin. I've been watching your sister's moves. She's making mistakes, big ones. Call me when you're out. We should talk. Jay. Good news? Kendra asked, noticing my expression. Could be. I studied her face. Why are you helping me? She glanced around before sitting down. My brother lost everything in a similar setup. His business partner framed him for embezzlement. By the time he proved his innocence, the company was gone. He never recovered. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be smart. She pulled out her phone, showing me a news article about my company. Your sister's been busy. 3 board members resigned last week. My heart raced. She's consolidating power. Okay, exactly. But look at the stock prices. She zoomed in on a graph. They're dropping. The market doesn't trust her leadership. I grabbed a notebook and started writing. I need you to teach me everything you know about the rehab's computer system. Every weakness, every back door. Already done. She slid a USB drive across the table. Network passwords, scheduling software, everything. Just make her pay, okay? Count on it. I tucked the drive into my bra. But first, I need to make a few calls. Know any staff phones that aren't monitored? She grinned. Night supervisor's office. I have keys. She's out sick all week. That night, I made my first call to Jasper. His voice was exactly as I remembered. Confident, sharp, ready for action. Took you long enough, he said. Ready to talk strategy? I looked out my window at the mountains, thinking of Francesca sitting in my office, sleeping in her penthouse, believing she'd won. More than ready, I replied. But I need to know everything. Every move she's made, every deal she's planning. And then I need your help to destroy her. That's my girl, he laughed. Class starts tomorrow. Hope you're taking notes. I hung up feeling more alive than I had in weeks. Francesca thought she'd sentenced me to prison, but she'd actually given me something precious. Time. Time to learn, to plan, to prepare. And I was going to use every second of it. She's trying to sell your shares. Jasper's voice crackled through the phone. I was back in the night supervisor's office, having my weekly midnight strategy session. But there's a problem. She needs board approval, which she doesn't have, I said, scrolling through the documents Kendra had helped me access. That's why the board members resigned. She tried to force their hands. Exactly. But here's where it gets interesting. I heard keyboard clicks in the background. She's been meeting with some shady investment groups. One of them caught my attention, Blue Harbor Capital. Never heard of them. Because they didn't exist 6 months ago. It's a shell company, Val. And guess who's connected to it? My breath caught. Mitchell. Bingo. Your CEO is helping your sister steal your company right out from under you. I scribbled notes furiously. Can you get me proof? Already did. Check your email. Kendra set you up with a secure account, right? I opened the laptop Kendra had smuggled in and clicked through the evidence. Bank transfers, shell companies, offshore accounts. It was all there. Holy shit, Jasper. This is gold. That's not all, he said. Your mother's been asking questions. Francesca's story isn't holding up, and people are starting to notice you're not exactly acting like an addict in rehab. A knock at the door made me jump. Kendra slipped in, looking worried. Someone's coming, she whispered. Gotta go, I told Jasper. Same time next week? Wait, one more thing. My sister Sabrina? She's on your board. She wants to meet. I ended the call just as footsteps echoed down the hall. Kendra and I quickly shut down the computer and slipped out the back door, barely making it around the corner, before Dr. Sarah walked past. Back in my room, Kendra handed me a newspaper. Page 6, Business Section. The headline made my blood boil. Perry Industries announces restructuring. Francesca Perry to assume full control. She's making her move, I said. We need to speed things up. Already on it. Kendra pulled out her phone. I got you a meeting with Sabrina tomorrow during your therapy session. Dr. Sarah's covering for you. I raised an eyebrow. Dr. Sarah's in on this? Let's just say she's seen enough rich families destroy each other to know which side to back. The next day, Sabrina met me in Dr. Sarah's office. She was sharply dressed and straight to the point. Your sister's a nightmare, she said, sitting down. She's threatening board members, manipulating accounts, and now this Blue Harbor deal, it stinks. I need allies on the board, I said. People who'll block the share transfer when I make my move. You'll have them. Half the board already regrets believing her addiction story. But Val... She leaned forward. We need to talk about your mother. My chest tightened. What about her? She came to my office yesterday, asking about the intervention. Said some things weren't adding up. Francesca's getting sloppy, making mistakes. Your mother found prescription records that prove those pills weren't yours. Hope flared in my chest, but I squashed it down. It doesn't matter, the damage is done. It matters because Francesca's panicking. She's pushing this Blue Harbor deal through too fast, making enemies. One wrong move and everything could collapse. I stood up and walked to the window, watching patients stroll through the garden below. Then let's give her the wrong move. Sabrina, how would you like to help me destroy my sister? She smiled. I thought you'd never ask. Over the next hour, we crafted a plan. Sabrina would stall the Blue Harbor deal while I set up a network of proxy buyers. Meanwhile, Jasper would start leaking strategic information to the board about Francesca's dealings. One condition, Sabrina said as she prepared to leave. When this is over, you have to talk to your mother. Really talk to her. Deal. I walked her to the door. And Sabrina, thank you. Don't thank me yet. The hard part's still coming. After she left, I sat in Dr. Sarah's office, looking at the newspaper again. Francesca's photo smiled up at me, confident and cruel. She thought she was untouchable, thought she had all the power. But power isn't just about position or money. It's about information, allies, and patience. I had spent my time in rehab building all three, while she spent hers making enemies and mistakes. I picked up my phone and texted Kendra. It's time. Start phase 2. Her reply came instantly. Ready when you are, boss. The game was changing. Francesca thought she was the hunter, but she was about to become the prey. And this time, I had proof, allies, and absolutely nothing left to lose. Let the real games begin. Your sister's coming to visit today, Dr. Sarah announced during our morning session. 2 months had passed since my admission, and phase 2 was in full swing. I kept my face neutral. Really? How interesting. Remember your training, she said, dropping her therapist persona. Don't let her see anything but what she expects to see. An hour later, I sat in the visitor's room, wearing the baggiest clothes I could find, my hair deliberately messy. When Francesca walked in, perfectly coiffed in her designer suit, I had to fight back a smile. She'd walked right into my trap. Val, she said, air-kissing my cheek. You look better. Thanks, I mumbled, keeping my eyes down. The programs here really help. She sat across from me, setting her expensive handbag on the floor. I brought some papers for you to sign, just routine stuff for the company. What kind of papers? I asked, making my voice small and uncertain. Nothing major, just transferring some shares to help with cash flow. She slid the documents across the table. The doctors say you're doing well. Maybe we can talk about you coming home soon. I pretended to read the papers while actually studying her face. There was tension around her eyes, a slight tremor in her hands. Something was wrong in her perfect little world. Is everything okay at the office? I asked innocently. Of course, she said too quickly. Why wouldn't it be? Just asking. Mom mentioned something about board meetings being tense lately. Francesca's eye twitched. You've been talking to Mom? She visits sometimes, when you're busy. The pen creaked in Francesca's grip. Listen, Val, I know this has been hard, but everything I've done has been for your own good, for the family. I looked up, letting her see just a glimpse of the old me. Has it? Before she could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from Jasper. Blue Harbor deal falling apart. Mitchell cracking under pressure. Move now. I returned to my submissive pose. I'm sorry, I need time to read these properly. The doctors say I shouldn't make big decisions without consulting my therapy team. But, Ms. Perry? Kendra appeared at the door. Your sister's group therapy session starts in 5 minutes. Francesca stood, smoothing her skirt. Keep the papers. Think about what I said. After she left, Kendra locked the door and pulled out her tablet. Got it all on camera. The whole conversation, plus her trying to make you sign documents without proper legal representation while under medical care. Perfect. I pulled out my phone. Jasper, you watching? Every second. His voice came through the speaker. She's desperate, Val. The Blue Harbor deal is her last shot at controlling the company. Without it, she loses everything. Time to push her over the edge. I turned to Kendra. Send the video to our friends at the board. Let them see how their acting CEO treats her sick sister. Already done, Kendra grinned. But that's not all. Mitchell called Sabrina this morning. He wants to meet. He's breaking ranks, Jasper said. Francesca must have promised him something she can't deliver. I stood up, energy coursing through me. Set up the meeting, and Jasper, release those offshore account records we found. Let's give Mitchell something to really worry about. You sure? He asked. Once we do this, there's no going back. Francesca crossed the point of no return the day she set me up. I walked to the window, watching her expensive car pull away. She wants to play hardball? Let's play. Later that night, I met with Dr. Sarah in her office. The news was already spreading through the business world. Mysterious leaks about Perry Industries, questions about offshore accounts, rumors of board member revolts. Your sister called, Dr. Sarah said. She's demanding we restrict your phone privileges, says you're not ready for outside contact. I laughed. Let me guess, right after the board called an emergency meeting? You're playing a dangerous game, Valentina. No, I corrected her. I'm winning a dangerous game. There's a difference. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Jasper. Mitchell agreed to meet. Tomorrow night. You ready? I thought about Francesca's face today, the fear behind her confident mask. Thought about her sitting in my office, thinking she was invincible. That would change tomorrow. Ready? I texted back. I've been ready for 2 months. Time to show my sister what happens when you underestimate family. The pieces were all in place. Mitchell was cracking, the board was turning, and Francesca was about to learn a very expensive lesson about karma. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. Mitchell looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, suit wrinkled, hair unkempt. Not the polished CEO I remembered. He sat across from me in Dr. Sarah's office, fidgeting with his tie. You shouldn't be here, he said, glancing nervously at the door. If Francesca finds out, she's the least of your problems right now. I slid a folder across the desk. Care to explain these transfers? His hands shook as he opened it. Where did you get these? Does it matter? The SEC will have them by morning unless we make a deal. You don't understand, he whispered. She has dirt on all of us. Things that could ruin careers, destroy families. I leaned forward. Tell me everything. Over the next hour, Mitchell spilled his guts. Francesca hadn't just been manipulating the company. She'd been blackmailing board members, threatening families, and cooking books. The Blue Harbor deal was meant to cover her tracks before anyone caught on. And you helped her, I said, my voice hard. I didn't have a choice. He wiped sweat from his forehead. She found out about my gambling debts, said she'd help if I played along with her story about you. My phone buzzed. A text from Sabrina. Emergency board meeting called for tomorrow. F losing control, making threats. Here's what's going to happen, I told Mitchell. Tomorrow you're going to tell the board everything, every detail, every threat, every illegal move she made. She'll destroy me. No, she won't. I handed him another folder. Because I have proof that you were acting under duress. Play this right, and you might keep your career. Cross me, and you'll wish Francesca was your only problem. After Mitchell left, Kendra rushed in. Your mother's here. What? My heart jumped. She's not scheduled to visit until… Val? Mom stood in the doorway, looking older than I remembered. We need to talk. Kendra squeezed my shoulder and left us alone. Mom sat down, pulling something from her purse. A prescription bottle. I found these in Francesca's desk, she said. Same ones she claimed were yours. I had them tested. The fingerprints. Her voice broke. Oh God, Val, what did we do to you? Mom? No, let me finish. She wiped her eyes. I've been such a fool. Your sister, she's not who I thought she was. The things I've discovered. I know, I said softly. I know everything. You do? She looked up sharply. Of course you do. You've been planning something, haven't you? That's why Francesca's been so erratic lately. I studied her face, looking for any sign of deception. Whose side are you on, Mom? Yours, she said without hesitation. I should have been from the start. Tell me how to make this right. Before I could respond, my phone exploded with messages. Jasper, Sabrina, and Kendra all texting at once. Turn on the news now. Kendra burst back in with a tablet. The business news was running a breaking story. Perry Industries CEO, Francesca Perry, under investigation for securities fraud. It's happening, I breathed. She's cracking. Mom watched the news report, her face pale. What do we do? We? I asked. Yes, we. She grabbed my hand. I failed you once. I won't do it again. My phone rang. Jasper. Val, Francesca's on her way to Pine Grove. She knows. Good. I stood up, adrenaline coursing through me. Let her come. Val, Mom said, whatever you're planning, be careful. Your sister's dangerous when she's cornered. So am I replied, watching the news coverage. And unlike her, I've had 2 months to prepare for this moment. Kendra returned with Dr. Sarah. Security's been alerted. We're ready. Mom, I said, go home. What's about to happen? You don't want to be here for it. She stood, straightening her shoulders. No, I've hidden from the truth long enough. I'm staying. Outside, we heard tires screeching in the parking lot. Angry voices, security radio chatter. Places, everyone, I said, sitting behind Dr. Sarah's desk. Time for the final act. Footsteps pounded down the hallway. Mom sat beside me, Kendra and Dr. Sarah flanking the door. My phone buzzed one last time. Sabrina. Board members all notified. Everyone's watching. End this. The door burst open. Francesca stood there, designer suit disheveled, eyes wild with rage. You little bitch, she snarled. What have you done? I smiled, feeling calmer than I had in months. Hello, sister. Let's talk about those prescription bottles you planted, shall we? The door closed behind her, with a final sounding click. The endgame had begun. You have no idea what you're doing, Francesca spat, pacing Dr. Sarah's office like a caged animal. You're going to destroy everything. Everything you stole, you mean? I kept my voice steady, watching her unravel. Sit down, Francesca. We need to discuss the terms of your resignation. She laughed, high and brittle. Resignation? I own this company. No, Mom spoke up, her voice trembling but firm. You own nothing. The board is voting right now to freeze all your assets pending investigation. Francesca whirled on her. You're taking her side? After everything I've done for this family? Done for this family? I stood up, sliding a document across the desk. Like falsifying medical records? Bribing doctors? Blackmailing board members? You can't prove any of that. Actually, Dr. Sarah stepped forward, I can. I've documented everything since Valentina's admission, including your attempts to keep her medicated against her will. Francesca's face went white. You're bluffing. Check your phone, I said. The SEC announcement should be hitting any minute now. On cue, her phone buzzed. She read the screen, her hands shaking. This is impossible. I covered everything. Except Mitchell, I said. He's singing like a canary right now. Turns out, threatening someone's family makes them hold quite a grudge. Mitchell? She sank into a chair. He wouldn't dare. He already has. Kendra handed me her tablet, showing a live stream of Mitchell talking to federal agents. And he's not alone. The whole house of cards is falling, sister dear. Francesca lunged for her phone, frantically dialing. James? James. Initiate the Blue Harbor transfer now. I don't care about the board. Just do it. He can't, I said calmly. Blue Harbor doesn't exist anymore. Just a shell company that mysteriously dissolved an hour ago, along with all your offshore accounts. You bitch! She hurled her phone at me. I ducked, and it shattered against the wall. You think you're so clever? I still have enough dirt to bury everyone in this room. No, you don't. Mom pulled out a USB drive. Because I found your safe. All your files, all your blackmail material, it's gone. I gave everything to the authorities this morning. Francesca stared at Mom, betrayal written across her face. You did what? I chose truth over fear, Mom said softly. Something you never understood. My phone buzzed. Jasper. Board vote complete. 11-0 against Francesca. You're back in. It's over, I told Francesca. You've lost everything, but I'm willing to make you a deal. A deal? She laughed desperately. What could you possibly offer me now? A choice. Option 1. Face criminal charges for fraud, embezzlement, and corporate espionage. Option 2. Resign quietly, return everything you stole, and take a position in our Tokyo office, far away from any real power. You're insane if you think. Option 2 includes keeping your trust fund, I interrupted. Option 1 includes a prison jumpsuit. Choose wisely. The fight drained from her face as reality set in. Outside, we could hear sirens approaching. Those would be the federal agents, Dr. Sarah said. They'll want to ask you some questions about those prescription bottles. Francesca's shoulders slumped. Tokyo? Tokyo, I confirmed. Sign the papers now, and you can be on a plane before they reach the door. She grabbed the resignation documents, signing without reading them. As soon as she finished, Kendra whisked them away. The car's waiting at the back entrance, she said. Your passport and plane ticket are inside. Francesca stood, straightening her jacket one last time. You'll regret this, Val. Someday, when you least expect it. No, I cut her off. I won't. Because unlike you, I learn from my mistakes. Try anything, ever, and those federal agents will mysteriously receive an anonymous tip about where to find the rest of your files. She stared at me for a long moment, finally seeing me clearly. Not as her little sister, but as the woman who'd outplayed her at her own game. Goodbye, Francesca, Mom said. I hope you find peace in Tokyo. Without another word, Francesca left. We watched through the window as she climbed into the waiting car and disappeared into the night. It's really over, Mom asked. Almost. I checked my phone. The board wants to meet tomorrow, time to rebuild what she destroyed. Val, Dr. Sarah said, are you ready for that? You've been through a lot. I looked around the room at my allies, my real family. I'm ready, but first I need a drink. A real one, not whatever they serve in rehab. I know just the place, Kendra grinned. Let's celebrate taking down the queen bee. As we left Pine Grove behind, I felt lighter than I had in months. Francesca had tried to break me, but instead she'd made me stronger. Now it was time to show the world what I could do with that strength. Tokyo was far enough away. The company was mine again. And this time, I knew exactly who to trust. Walking into the boardroom felt like coming home. 3 months after leaving Pine Grove, I stood at the head of the table, looking at the faces of our board members, some nervous, some relieved, all waiting to see what would happen next. Before we begin, I said, setting down my briefcase, I want to thank everyone for their patience during this transition period. Mitchell shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He'd kept his job, barely, after turning state's evidence against Francesca. The federal investigation was ongoing, but our company's cooperation had earned us some goodwill. The quarterly numbers are in, Sabrina announced, distributing folders. We're up 12% since the leadership change. Speaking of change, I clicked through to the first slide of my presentation. Let's talk about the future. The door opened, and Jasper walked in. Several board members straightened in their seats. His reputation preceded him. Ladies and gentlemen, I gestured to Jasper, meet our new Chief Strategy Officer. Ms. Perry, one of the older board members spoke up. While we appreciate your return, some of us have concerns about such dramatic changes so soon. Understandable, I replied, which is why I've brought proof of concept. I nodded to Jasper, who distributed more folders. Open them. The room fell silent as they read. Then the whispers started. This is impossible, someone muttered. These numbers, another gasped. Not impossible, Jasper said, taking his place beside me. Just smart business. While certain people were busy playing power games, Valentina and I were developing partnerships with 3 major tech firms. They're ready to sign as soon as we give the word. Which brings us to today's vote, I continued. We can either continue as we are, stable but stagnant, or we can embrace change and triple our market share by year's end. The boardroom doors opened again. This time, Mom walked in, followed by Tony. My stepfather looked uncomfortable in his suit, but his presence sent a clear message. The family was united again. The floor is open for questions, I said, sitting down. For the next 2 hours, we fielded every concern, addressed every doubt. When the final vote came in, unanimous in favor of my plan, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. One more thing, I said as the meeting wrapped up. Mitchell. He looked up, startled. Yes? Clear out your office by 5. Your resignation letter is already drafted. But you said if I cooperated. Saw it. I said you'd keep your career, I corrected him. Just not here. Jasper's arranged a position for you at a startup in Seattle. Consider it a fresh start. After everyone filed out, Jasper stayed behind. That was kind of you. Seattle instead of prison. It wasn't kindness, I said, gathering my papers. It was strategy. He'll be grateful, which means he'll be useful if we ever need him. You've changed, he observed. Had to. I looked out the boardroom windows at the city skyline. Francesca taught me that much at least. My phone buzzed. A message from Kendra. Turn on the financial news now. I grabbed the remote and switched on the boardroom's wall-mounted screen. The headline made me smile. Perry Industries announces major tech partnership. Stock soars. Perfect timing, Jasper grinned. Ready for your interview? Why, almost. I straightened my jacket and checked my reflection in the window. How do I look? Like someone who just won a war. The elevator dinged and a news crew walked in, led by Kendra herself, now our head of PR. They're ready for you, she said. Remember, stick to the script. Nothing about Francesca or the investigation. I nodded, taking my position in front of the cameras. The interviewer, a sharp-looking woman in her 40s, settled into her chair. Ms. Perry, she began, your return to Perry Industries has been called a corporate fairy tale. How does it feel to be back? I smiled directly into the camera, knowing Francesca would be watching from her tiny Tokyo office. It feels right, I said. Family businesses are built on trust, integrity, and vision. Sometimes we lose sight of those values, but with the right team and the right direction, anything is possible. And the rumors about your sister's departure? I wish her all the best in her new role, I replied smoothly. But today isn't about the past, it's about the future, and Perry Industries' future has never looked brighter. After the interview, Mom waited in my office, my real office, not the temporary one Francesca had used. You were magnificent, she said, hugging me. Your father would be so proud. I hugged her back, feeling the last pieces of my life click into place. Thanks, Mom. Now, how about that family dinner you promised? I think we all have some catching up to do. Lead the way, she smiled. After all, that's what you do best. The autumn wind whipped around me as I stood on the office building's rooftop garden. watching the sunset paint the city skyline in shades of gold. Behind me, the door opened. "Thought I'd find you up here," Kendra said, joining me at the railing. "Big envelope came from Tokyo." I took the package, already knowing what it contained. Inside was a single document, Francesca's final resignation from her position in our Japanese office, along with a handwritten note. "You win. F." Guess she finally accepted reality? Kendra mused. Or found another target. I crumpled the note. Either way, it's done. My phone buzzed. Jasper was calling. "Val, turn on the news, right now." Kendra and I rushed to my office, where Mom and Tony were already watching the breaking news story. The headline made my heart stop. "Federal agents arrest former Perry Industries CEO in Tokyo. Corporate fraud charges filed." "She tried to do it again," Mom whispered. "Set up another takeover scheme in Japan." "But this time," Tony added, "someone was watching." I picked up my phone. "Jasper, did you—" "Not me," he said. Apparently, she never learned to cover her tracks properly. Japanese authorities had been monitoring her for months. The office door burst open, and Dr. Sarah walked in, followed by Sabrina. "We came as soon as we heard." "Family meeting time?" Kendra asked. I looked around at the faces in my office. Not just colleagues or allies anymore, but true family. People who'd stood by me, fought with me, believed in me when everything seemed darkest. "Actually," I said, "I have something to show you all first." I led them to the conference room, where a presentation was already queued up. "Remember that children's hospital project Francesca killed last year? The one Dad always wanted to build?" Their eyes widened as I clicked through the slides. Architectural plans, budgets, timelines. "Construction starts next month," I announced, "and we're naming it after Dad." Mom started crying. "He would have loved this." "There's more." I switched to the next slide. "We're also launching a foundation to help victims of corporate fraud rebuild their lives. Kendra's brother will be running it." "Val," Jasper said slowly, "these projects, they'll cost millions." "Worth every penny." I turned to face them all. Francesca taught me how easy it is to destroy things. Companies, relationships, trust. But Dad taught me the real power comes from building things, creating something meaningful. "Speaking of building things," Sabrina interjected, "the board approved your proposal this morning. The tech merger is official." My phone buzzed again, this time with news alerts. Our stock price was soaring as the merger announcement hit the markets. Everything we'd worked for was falling into place. "You did it," Dr. Sarah said proudly. "You didn't just take back what was yours, you made it better." "We did it," I corrected her. "All of us." Tony cleared his throat. "Well, since we're all here, your mother and I have news too." Mom beamed. "We're renewing our vows. Small ceremony, just family, real family." "And," Tony added, "we're hoping you'll be the maid of honor, Val." I hugged them both, feeling the last shadows of Francesca's betrayal fade away. This was what winning really looked like, not destroying your enemies, but building something stronger from the ruins they left behind. "Drinks at Marco's," Kendra suggested. "I think this calls for a celebration." As everyone headed out, I lingered in my office for a moment, looking at Dad's old photo on my desk. Next to it sat the crumpled note from Francesca, two reminders of very different legacies. "You coming?" Jasper called from the doorway. I dropped Francesca's note in the trash where it belonged. "Right behind you." At Marco's, surrounded by laughter and love, I raised my glass. "To family. The ones we're born with, and the ones we choose." "To family," they echoed. Later that night, as the city lights twinkled below my office window, I sent one final email to Francesca's Tokyo lawyer. A simple message. The Children's Hospital Project is still open to donations if she ever wants to be part of building something instead of destroying it. I didn't expect a response, but that wasn't the point. The point was that I'd finally learned what Dad always knew. True power isn't about control or revenge. It's about creating something meaningful, something lasting. And looking at what we'd built from the ashes of Francesca's betrayal, I knew we'd done exactly that.